Hello, everyone. Hope you've all had a fantastic end to the week. Apologies for the delay. Thank you all for joining me tonight. It is a fantastic Friday, frigidly cold, absolutely insanely cold. Not a fan. Not a fan. But hey, that's Canada for you. Got a lot to talk about today. A lot of interesting stories popping up, especially towards the end of the week. As per usual, because on Fridays, for those that don't know, that's typically when corporate journalists and media like to drop major stories because they're under the assumption that, or rather, they're operating under the belief that most people are going to be too preoccupied with their end of week plans, that more people are going out and partying. There's a lot of distractions. There's the weekend. Your 9 to 5 is done. And so they rely on that. They rely on people not knowing to pay attention to that instead of, breads and circuses. But what are you going to do? That's just human nature. But they realize that there's a pattern in this. And so they tend to drop the most important stories of the week for that day. And so today, a treasure trove of Epstein files just dropped. The Conservative Party of Canada is having its conference there, which we'll be getting into. And yeah, so just all these news just dropping on the same day, and we'll get into a bit of that. But before we do, if you want to support the stream, you can like, comment, and subscribe. I always appreciate anyone that watches this. But if you want to have a donation read on stream, because I don't typically read chats on stream, if you want to have it read, you can go to the PayPal, which is in the bio.link/whitepill link that's in the description of every episode. Or ideally, or maybe not ideally, but alternatively, I did just set up a crypto link for those that are in the community, for those that are holding. I'm accepting. I don't know. I think that's just about every chain there is, or every major chain, anyways. All the addresses are there, QR codes and all that. So have at it. Don't feel obligated. As always, I appreciate anyone that just takes the time to watch this. But if you want to take that extra step and help me keep the Whitepill project going, that's where you can do that. And we are working on, I am working on getting some merch. I figured out the best way to set it up. And at the moment, as much as I'd love to work with a Canadian company, as it stands with the integrations available and everything, I will have to stick with Sticker Mule. That does have a partnership with Rumble, so you'll be able to find all of it on my channel there. Rumble is the main platform that I'm on, usually 90% of the time. And yeah, got some funny stuff for you guys coming down the pipeline. So that you don't just have to necessarily donate. Now you actually buy something. It's gonna be a great product. We're gonna have shirts, gonna have hats, and even cups. But more importantly, trucker hats. That's what we're gonna have. We're gonna have trucker hats for the Whitepill. Hell yeah. But yeah, that's all in the pipeline. I'm getting on setting up that shop. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, without further ado, we'll get into a little bit on the Epstein files. Some really weird shit dropping today. Everything about the Epstein files is weird just because of the nature of it. And by weird, I mean it's so out of the periphery of every decent person to be involved with any of this. And then to find out that the ruling elite, whether cultural elite, economic elite, political elite, all these people just have these, I guess what they would call refined tastes. I don't know what I would call that. A layer of depravity unlike anything else. Because, like poor people, that's the thing with poor people, right? Us, the lackeys, okay? The have-nots, not the have-yots. Our vices are what? Fucking heroin? Meth? Going on a bender? Tripping on LSD? I don't know, the snuff porn? Like, legal, not legal, but like, it's not nearly as bad as whatever the fuck these people are up to. Dude, just today I heard that apparently there were emails going back and forth between Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein, where Bill Gates was requesting an antibiotic that he could slip into his wife's food or drink because he got an STD from some hookers. And he was asking Epstein if he knew any antibiotics or treatment that he could just drug his wife with so that she wouldn't find out. I mean, that is... I don't want to say the word insane because it just gets overused, but I mean, this is incredible. I don't... To what layer of... I don't even know, disgust? Not even disgust. Like, I'm disgusted, but it's not disgust, but like, to what point do you have to go to actually... to do something like that, to even think of something like that? I mean, Jesus Christ, no wonder she divorced him. That's insane. Let's see if we can find that. Oh, it doesn't even mention what he did. No. No, this is not right. This is not right. We have to actually find the email. The news article doesn't even talk about what he did. Are you serious? There's literally an email. To add quote, I'm quoting the email. To add insult into the injury, you then implore me to please delete the emails regarding your STD. You request that I provide you antibiotics that you can surreptitiously give to Melinda, and the description of your penis. You also made it clear to me that I am not to refer to blank, as that is another topic that must remain between the two of us. In return for all of these requests, which I would have done without a second thought, I am not to attend meetings with Melinda. I should continue to provide you the same level of service and dedication that I have done so diligently until you are ready to discard me and our friendship. Wow. That's crazy. Also, no, like, what is this punctuation? You would think that, like, rich people would, astronomically rich people, influential people, they would actually be able to write a fucking, like, what are these spaces? Some words are capitalized, others aren't. Are they just writing in a flurry? With a fresh 12-year-old waiting in the corner? I don't, like, what the fuck is this? Who writes like this? This is insane. This is worse than middle schoolers. But anyways, yeah, unbelievable. That the guy that came out that was trying to lecture us during COVID that we need the vaccine, all of a sudden he's a vaccine expert because he's had investments in Moderna or whatever. He's the guy that we have to take health advice from? Really? Bill Gates? You? You know, apparently the rumor is that the reason that he got close, Bill Gates got close to Jeffrey Epstein, is because Bill Gates wanted a Nobel Prize, and Epstein had all the connections to help him get one. Supposedly that's the rumor, but that is, man, you're drugging your wife? That's insane. And Trump is involved in this too, apparently. I haven't dug too deep on that. I really only skimmed the layers of this. And there are much more like informed people on this topic that you should definitely go to instead of me. I think, for instance, Brian, what's his face? He's on Rumble as well. He does amazing investigative pieces on stories like this. Let me see if I can find him. Sorry, Mike Benz. Yeah, Mike Benz Cyber. That's his Rumble handle. You can find him on Twitter as well if you look up Mike Benz. He was initially one of the guys that broke the USAID story. Like, he goes into full detail with that. Epstein as well. This guy is extremely knowledgeable, so I highly recommend give him a watch. Everything that he talks about, he will pull up the sources. He will literally read out the documents talking about these links. You know, it's not just some random conspiracy theorists jumping from theory to theory or what have you. Like, this guy is legitimately knowledgeable. Now, whether or not his opinions are right, that's a whole other thing. But just the way that he is able to present this information, it's quite good. So he'll have plenty to say about the Epstein thing. But this is insane. Canada apparently barred him at one point. They denied him entry in 2018. Epstein, I mean. Um, let's see what else. Emails between Epstein and the Duke. Email alleges girl was trafficked, tortured, and killed. Mentions of Elon Musk. Elon Musk was asking about the parties at one point. It's the it is the most cringiest email ever. And if this is actually Elon Musk, which I mean, we only have, you know, these emails as proof. I would assume it is. I wouldn't think it's fake. But where's the email where he's asking about the party? It is so Reddit coded. It's actually insane. Let me see this. Said fly back. No. There was an email where he was trying to get invited to a party. But he couldn't. He couldn't go. He was disinvited essentially. Like, oh, we're actually winding down operations. We're not doing that. Oh, come on. They're just showing the same fucking emails over and over and over again. Whoa, is this the... That's insane. This is an email from... Oh my god. Quote, thanks, I didn't realize Bush raped him too. Okay. These guys they're just writing about it in email? There's no other secure way of communicating? You just have these emails? I guess, well, like you're just keeping tabs on people? This is your insurance policy? Insane. Back in the... Oh, quote, Jesus Christ. Back in the 90s, Ghislaine Maxwell recruited a girl for a modeling career. Instead of modeling, she was sold as a slave for sex and torture. Prince Andrew was an accessory to her death as he tortured her and me to force her murder. That's insane. I mean, this is basically what we expected. I don't want to keep saying this is insane because I don't know what other word to use. Extraordinary doesn't come to mind. It's just appalling. Shocking, but not shocking. I mean, just to see it bare and laid open like that, no wonder. I mean, this is just the stuff they're allowing us to see, right? There's one of the reasons that Trump has been so unpopular as of late is because he just completely reneged rather, his stance on the Epstein files. It was all talk about, oh, we got to investigate Bill Clinton, we got to release this, we got to release that. And then when he gets into office, just stutters and fumbles the whole way through. I wouldn't be surprised if this was forced on him. In any case, yeah, it doesn't look good. We won't dig too deep on that. Maybe we'll cover it in a future episode. But here's another interesting thing. Just before we get off this topic, Moot from 4chan, the man who created 4chan, who's, credited with it, he met with Epstein multiple times. And by the dates, it looks like before the creation of 4chan. Right? And not only that, right? That's just 4chan, right? So who knows what do they talk about? Who knows who else he met? But then, this is also the infamous account, Maxwell Hill. This is a little-known internet theory. I mean, everybody just kind of assumes it is her because the timing of the posts and when this account stopped posting is around the time when the whole Epstein thing started blowing up again. It is the first account in Reddit history to get 1 million karma. The first account. This was 14 years ago. Here's the comment. Thanks all. The first 100 link karma was the hardest. I mean, that's a little strange. That's a little strange. So you have on one hand, essentially the open internet, right? The surface of it, Reddit, and 4chan just like underneath it, and they both, in one way or another, have potential ties to Jeffrey Epstein, who's arguably a Mossad agent, or not agent, but he collaborated with Mossad, right? People have stated this before. And so now they had a potential influence on the founding of the two biggest platforms in modern internet history. You know, Reddit not so much anymore. X is kind of the place to be, I think, but there's still quite a lot of traffic flowing through Reddit. They're not some, small potatoes. They are actually still a cultural force to be reckoned with. So you have two sides of the culture, the mainstream and then the fringe, right? The absolute like depraved, both of them having ties to Epstein. That's very strange. I hope people actually investigate this. There's so much more that's going to come out, and as I said, there are much more informed and just more knowledgeable people on this that you should listen to. On this, I'm just a spectator. Mike Benz, he's going to have a great analysis of that, I have no doubt, and plenty of other people as well. But without further ado, let's get into today's topics, which, as you can tell by the title, Conservative Cucks, has to do with conservatism. And I don't even know what to call it. It's not a convention. It's a jerk off fest. That's what the whole thing seems like. And here, of course, I'm referencing the Conservative Party convention, which is happening right now. I believe what time is it? 11:43. So they're going to be winding down in about 15 minutes. I think they had their vote earlier already. Let's see if we can see if he won the vote, if he secured his seat as a leader. Really? Or were they not supposed to have the vote today? Hold on. Conservative Party conference. Oh wait, convention, not conference. Has there not been a leadership vote? I thought it was today. Sorry, I just need to check this because this is important. Let's check the schedule here. Today's the 30th. Yeah, today's the 30th. Leader Circle Lounge, speakers. Oh, I guess it's tomorrow. Yeah, the polling stations are going to open, and the CPC leader's keynote address. Okay, so this. Oh wait, no, this is today. This is still January 30th, 6:30. Leadership review voting open. Are they not going to announce it? Okay, strange. It doesn't say when they're actually going to announce it. I assumed it was just going to be tonight. Yeah, if they're having the vote, they might as well. That gives you 5 hours. How many votes, like how many hours do you need? Oh, results haven't been announced. Multiple reports suggest he's expected to win strong party support. Okay. At least that's what Grok says. Okay, so the vote is still going on. They're probably going to announce it later tonight. But in any case, this convention is an absolute fucking embarrassment. Not an embarrassment, but it's just it's exactly what you would expect. By embarrassment, I mean that it doesn't they are not going as hard as they need to. They're blunting the idea of conservatism to make it as palatable to as many Canadians as possible, which seems to be the strategy. Right? Like the Conservative Party in Canada, it's not really at all that conservative. These people are liberal light. That's essentially what they are. I mean, almost every single policy that Carney has adopted, or at least like quite a few of them, right, has been from the Conservatives. So for once, we had a dip in immigration. They're introducing a bunch of bills to go hard on crime, which still are working to their favor ideologically. They're not actually going as hard as they need to. Excuse me. But they're appealing to enough of the sentiment around these ideas that people think they're doing something. right? Realistically, from my angle, it just looks like they're buying time. It just looks like they're trying to appease the crowd long enough so that they can eventually get a majority. Because I'm pretty sure they're one MP away from having a majority in the House, which means that they now have a majority government and they can just push through all the bills they want. The conservatives will try to filibuster them and try to impede them, but realistically, if they have a majority in the House, like that's kind of it. Then they have the advantage for God knows how long. And with Carney's performance as of late, it does seem like he's prepping for that. It seems like he's trying to appeal. Like, I mean, this whirlwind of trade deals that he's had, this absolute speed run that he's been on, speaking at WEF, making that whole speech, all the coverage around that was just jerking him off. Essentially, that's all that it was. It was masturbatory, self-congratulatory bullshit. Because none of what he said was actually true. Very little of it. Right? But whenever he talked about Canada's problems, like absolutely no 0% of self-reflection to say, hey, the previous party, right, the previous people in power, they did that, but I'm doing something different. None of that. Like no departure from what we did or looking back on the mistakes of the past. Like none of that. Just Canada's in this place in the world, and as the middle power, this is from where we must operate. We must remember Canadian nationalism, just pulling all these tropes out that actually have no basis in reality, right? After how the Liberals have completely just fucked the nation, and the Conservatives have stood by watching them for 10 years, right? Impeding them where they can, but realistically not really doing shit. Even when the highest courts rule that the Emergency Act is illegal, it's been like a week and a half since then, and nothing. What are they actually doing besides questioning period? Are they putting in any motions? Are they standing up for these people? Are they defending? Like, are they just saying words? That's what the Conservatives seem to be doing. But anyways, after that whirlwind tour, right? Carney's making all these appearances. And it just makes you think like, okay, he's really putting himself out there. You know, and yeah, they're saying, oh, we're not considering an election just yet. No plans for that just now. Yeah, Trudeau said the exact same thing during COVID, that the last thing the people needed was a change of power during such a tumultuous time. And then he went for it and completely shat the bed and lost even more seats just because of how poorly they had ran the whole fucking thing. Right? And so Carney's going to try to do the same thing, and maybe he'll succeed. I mean, they really just need one seat. And if he aligns enough people against Trump, then they will have their majority. That's all it takes. Because the Conservatives are not going hard enough, and they're not creating the environment where these beliefs can be supported. It's mostly just fringe people, or people that the government would consider fringe. You know, self-organized groups that are trying to change things, like the Dominion Society of Canada. They're trying to push the culture into a different direction. But realistically, these things take years. Nobody's going to wake up overnight and completely change their political stance. And it has to happen on a large enough scale. And then also it has to supersede all of the cultural blocks that people have created, or rather their national blocks. The Iranian vote, the Indian vote, the Chinese vote, right? So on and so forth. People that might have second allegiances to a different country that will vote along a certain party line based on how that party operates within that country. Right? And that's not me painting every person of different nationality other than Canadian with a broad brush saying, oh, they're 100%, they have dual allegiances. If you're not born here, no. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there's been multiple candidates in the last election that ran on certain issues, whether it's Israel, Palestine, Russia, Ukraine, of all these foreign conflicts, and they appeal to people that are tied to that nationally. either them benefiting from it or losing from it. Right? That's exactly why we've had these huge Iranian protests. That's why all these Gaza protests, the Hamas protests, right? They've been going on for years now. They're still happening to this day. And so that diaspora, that group of people, they will vote a certain way. They will pick a certain party based on that. And the Conservative Party, I mean, this is their chance to say, no, no, no. We're not doing any of that shit because we shouldn't be. That has nothing to do with Canada first. Okay, we're still living in the midst of an opiate crisis. We have a housing problem. Problem is fucking underpinning it. Young people are joking about the prospect of owning a house. It's a fucking meme at this point. What does that tell you? Right? Since 2018, I've said this before, since 2018, 100,000 plus people have died waiting for a doctor. There are cases every couple of months of people just dying in an ER because there's not enough of an infrastructure, not enough doctors, not enough nurses, what have you, to help them. Highest record food bank usage in years. Debt to GDP ratio, credit, all that. Just complete inflation, cost of food, cost of living. We're just getting fucked on all sides, and neither party is actually presenting a viable alternative. And so Carney, right before we get more into the conference, Carney decides to do this the other day, which was fucking embarrassing. The post that I had, deleted it for some reason. And 1 second. Deleted it. Because you can't say things that are against this. I don't know. It was ridiculous. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, I'll have to keep scrolling. But basically, long story short, I called him a faggot. Okay? Because how is a leader, like, do you think that this is in any way projecting power? Like, what are you doing, man? Why the fuck are you, as a grown man, posing like this on a red carpet? Even if it's your wife, that's just fucking weird, man. I know that we've kind of in 2026 we've kind of lost the idea that politicians have to like carry themselves a certain way. Trump kind of broke that barrier, and ever since then everyone's just doing whatever Congress people are saying fuck because it's cool. It's just, these are the people that we expect to have a higher standard of behavior. What is this? What are you doing? This looks fucking gay. This looks fucking gay. Not to mention, it's not just because it's two men. For those people that don't understand the context, this is the star of a show, a recent show that's gone viral all over Canada, where it's about these two hockey players that are gay for each other. Which, fine, whatever. Enjoy your slop, right? I have nothing against that. Be gay. I don't give a shit, right? It's just that this fits in line with what the government of Canada has done for years and years and years. They will use these kind of appearances to push their messaging. Right? Like after this, he went on and had a whole speech talking about, oh my God, I'm so glad to have supported this series, to have made it so that it can function here in Canada, that it can have an audience, so on and so forth, right? That Canada is a place where we tell these stories. Okay, dude, fucking fine, we get it. Jesus Christ. But when's the last time that any Canadian politician, party leader, what have you, has endorsed a show like that? The last time, if you'll all remember, was when Trudeau went on fucking RuPaul's Drag Race. Which, like, once again, why? Why are you just so fucking gay, man? Why? Why? See if we can play this. I'm not gonna play the audio because I'll probably get a copyright strike on this. Like, of all the shows to make an appearance, this shit, which fine, once again, if you're a drag, I don't give a shit. I don't care. I really don't. Not gonna watch the content. It's not for me. No thanks. Right? I got my own personal feelings about it, but who gives a shit? That has neither. It's neither here nor there. Right? I'm not hateful towards these people. They exist, and there's nothing. Right? That's not the problem. Why is our prime minister endorsing this? Why is it like of all the shows he could come on, of everything that he could do, and not to mention this is like what I think I was in November. Yeah, it was in November. I thought it was during Pride Month. It would have been perfect if it was during Pride Month. But he's also made several appearances there, and just talking about your identity. You guys are so expressive, and man, of all the fucking things to promote, dude, we're literally in a spiraling birth rate right now. Right? If you ever wanted to make an argument for, or rather say that like, okay, fine. If you have this question for me, why this show? Why not another show? Right? Which show would he do then? Which show would he go on? Go on a show where it's talking about home building, right? How many of those fucking shows are made in Canada, or about our families living together, or what have you? Canada is spiraling. We cannot replace our population. We're I think like 1.5 replacement rate. It has to be 2. It needs to be 2, and we're falling. And of all the things, like all the cultural values that you want to support, you go and you talk about men dressing up as women. Like, really? Couldn't have gone to like volunteered at a fucking soup kitchen? Like, I'm just saying, like these appearances, right? These shows, they have cultural power. This is somebody endorsing a message. Like his idea of going on this wasn't, oh, I wonder if RuPaul's available. I wonder if RuPaul's available. I wonder if they can have me on an episode. That's not how this goes. He doesn't just make random moves like that. There's an idea, a thought, a whole plan behind these things. I'm going to say this at this time with this kind of cadence. Dude, this guy was a drama teacher. He understands theater. Okay, even in the most rudimentary way, he understands theater. He understands how to speak publicly. That's his thing. Okay, for those who don't know, like Trudeau was legitimately in some ways like kind of like a maniac with the way that he performed. Everything from his facial features to how he walked, it's just you could tell that he was so calculated with it, or at least tried to be. He's very intentional. I mean, there's a video of him at some kind of an event, like whispering to his wife, saying something along the lines of like, "No, like this is my mission. I got to do this. I know I need to do this. This is what I'm best at. This is what I need to do." All right, let me see if I can find it. A video of Justin Trudeau whispering to his wife at an event. Provide links. This will find me some links. Close the window a little bit. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, come on. No. Hold on. Where he says something along the lines of, this is what I'm best at. It was surreal to kind of hear that because his wife is like, okay, all right, just relax, just tone it down. You're kind of acting strangely. Is there really no video of this? Unbelievable. I swear I'm not making this up. I vividly remember seeing this. Really? Insane. Hold on. We'll do one more try. One more try. Justin Trudeau, Sophie. Oh yeah, and they had that awkward kiss. She just turned away oh my god. And he's just so done. Oh, fucking Christ. Oh god. The fact that that man had a divorce and people just didn't, I don't know, consider that maybe like that's kind of it, dude. That's kind of it. You can't handle a divorce and also run the country. You know, that kind of gave him power. I've always just assumed, and I mean, look, I don't profess to know anything insider, but I always just assumed that what that was Trudeau loving his political career more than his family, and Sophie just couldn't take it anymore because he just loved the limelight, making all these appearances and doing all these things. And it was just too much. It was just too much. She wrote like a tell-all book for some reason. Like, really? You couldn't just keep that shit to yourself? You had to fucking profit? Really? You had to write a book? Gee, is this what these women do? Why would you write a book, a fucking tell-all? Not a tell-all, but she did talk about some things. Like, dude, really? You're airing out your laundry like that? You're just giving the misogynists like another talking point. Like, insane. Absolutely. Just like, yeah, oh, I'm gonna tell my side of this story. Unbelievable. I guess I'm not gonna find the video, but I do vividly remember it. And so the whole reason why I got into this, right? This appearance that Carney makes, he's endorsing it. Right? He's endorsing this show. He made a whole speech. Ray talked about it. Here it is. Oh, my mistake. Let me here it is.
Whoever they want to love. Heated rivalry reflète une valeur canadienne fondamentale. Chaque jeune, peu importe qu'ils sont ou qu'ils s'aiment, devrait se sentir en sécurité dans leur communauté et fier d'eux-mêmes. Our stories, our shared references, our collective memories remind us that we are all part of something bigger.
Our collective memories as gay people? Really? What the fuck are you talking about? They're a minority. What do you, like, what?
A creative, curious, compassionate, diverse, and ambitious nation. A nation that welcomes storytellers, listens to their stories, celebrates our differences. That's worth protecting, especially at this moment.
Solid. Yeah. That's a speech that he decided to make when he was talking about this stuff. They gave him some fucking sweater. It's apparently a reference to the show. Look, what a prime minister does culturally matters. It matters. The appearances that you make on TV, the words that you say, right? Ultimately, it's the policy and the actual things that you get people to agree to that matter. But these cultural things matter too, in their own way. And so pushing this, like, more of this shit, as if we don't have more representation of gays, as if we're just drowning in heterosexual entertainment, right? The gay media market is oversaturated. It's everywhere. Disney, the largest media company in the world, right? They literally just keep harping on this shit. Games these days have to have a non-binary option. Nintendo just added that. Right? It's just, it's everywhere. It's pervasive. It's treated as if it's this universal experience when it's not. These people are a fucking minority. which, yeah, we accept the fact that they live. Some countries don't. You know, some countries don't. But in Canada, we're full steam ahead to the point where the prime minister is doing this shit. I mean, I don't know. In the middle of like while we're in the middle of a population decline, and your thought is to promote more gay media, people that are famously known for not procreating. That's great. That's awesome. And just doing the most cucked shit. Like, why would you pose with a man like that? Do you realize how this looks for Canada? You're doing this on the national stage. Anybody around the world that you make a deal with, that you meet, will have seen this photo of you. You know, it's one thing for you to be like, you know, rubbing shoulders with some people, jostling the boys, what, like shaking hands, what, laughing with a prime minister, what have you, president, leader of a country, authoritarian, right? Like, there's that, but you're pulling another man's leg like that close to you, dude. That's fucking gay. That's fucking gay. And you're representing the entire country of Canada on the world stage like this? Fuck you. Unbelievable. It doesn't piss me off because of the homosexuality of it. It pisses me off because this is what people are going to think of when they see Canada. This is going to be one of those symbols because it's just out there. You know, even Trudeau never went like, he wasn't like bumping and grinding on people at the Pride Parade. You know, he made an appearance and he wore his pink shirt and waved around his flags. They didn't do this. The fuck is this? What are you doing, man? I understand the actor, like, fine, that's, you know, it's his job. He's supposed to get views and all this stuff. Like, what the fuck is this, man? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. And I swear, you know what? If this is AI, I'm actually gonna fucking... I will kill myself if it's AI. Hold on. Where is it? Heated rivalry. Let me look it up. No, it's real. Yeah, that photo was taken by multiple outlets. Yeah. No, it's real. Because it was just kind of blurry, so I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Is this AI? No, you got it. CTV News, Global News, National Post. All talking about the same fucking thing. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Why do you have to be so gay? Just do your fucking job, man. Do your fucking job. Start advocating for Canadians. What the fuck is this? Of all the stories that you could have pushed for, of all the pieces of Canadian media, like if he had made an appearance on Shoresy or whatever, I would have still cringed, but I would have been like, all right, well, that's Canadian. Got hockey, small town vibes. Like, okay, fine. Like, whatever. Nope. No, he decides to do whatever the fuck this is. And it's treated as like, oh, he's girl bossing. Oh my God. Like, what the no. No. No, don't fucking kid yourself. He's not doing this because he likes the show, because he's a fan. He's doing this because of the optics, because he's coalition building, leading up to an election. He goes to the gay community and says, I will defend your rights. I will defend your right to walk in the streets. He's making the argument that I will. They won't, or they might not, but I will, because this is part of Canada. This is part of our culture, of our history. Right? Trudeau made it a current thing, helped make it a current thing. Gays have always been in Canada for the longest fucking time, but Trudeau popularized it. All the NGOs that got money from the Canadian government, all the organizations, all the meetings Trudeau had, the shows that he was on, right, to help promote it. And Carney's basically reminding them, I got you. I'm your guy. I'm in the Liberal Party. We will take care of you. And compare this, right, before I get off this topic, compare this to this. And this is an AI video that the Trump government has put out. I'm 99% certain. Yeah, it's gotta be. There's no way unless like it was actual like graphics. What is the definition? Jesus Christ. Really, guys? Not even 1080p? That's wild. No, that's AI. Yeah. Yeah, that's AI. Mixed with real footage. But basically, the U.S. is going to be hosting the Indy 500 in front of the White House. Dude, forget the UFC fight. That's fucking wicked. Could you imagine how sick that would be to see it from drones or copters with the backdrop of the nation's capital? Do you realize how patriotic that is? That's insane. That's wild. The whole race is around that entire area. Okay, that to me projects American exceptionalism. That to me projects the American greatness. Like, when's the last time we had a hockey game on Parliament Hill? When's the last time that happened? What, they can't set up a temporary rink? Really? Like, we're not capable of doing that, especially in the winter in Ottawa? Really? Do you realize how many crowds that will draw? What if we just had a tournament of like the best Canadian hockey teams? Right? We had one day where they just played nonstop. And there's not really that many. I mean, you could just fit in some quick games, have them play 3-on-3 or whatever the fuck, make it more exciting. But like, really, like we can't do that as Canadians? We can't have something like this? Why not? Oh, we don't have money in the budget? The billions that got to go to Ukraine and Israel and elsewhere? Why can't we have this? I want this. Doesn't every Canadian want this? Do you realize how much pride this takes in your own nation? It's crazy. Canada should be doing this exact thing, except with our own sports, right? Our own things, our own cultural tokens, if you want to call them that. Right? Why can't we have a hockey game in front of Parliament? How crazy would that be? Set it up outdoor rink. Make it so that the public can come, set up porta potties or what have you. Like, open up Parliament. Open up Parliament so people can go get warmed up, set up the stations, obviously like restrict areas and close it off to people. But like, you're telling me this isn't possible? Build warming centers, whatever. Make it a tradition once a year. They play some kind of all-star game or what have you. Or better yet, you know what? Fuck the NHL teams. Put a bunch of small town teams on it. Put a bunch of the senior leagues on that. Play some real fucking hockey. Where the guys are physical. Why not? Why can't we have that? You're telling me Parliament is too big? Really? Or sorry, too small? Like what? Why can't we have that? Can you imagine what kind of an event that would draw? Or sorry, what kind of a crowd that kind of event would draw? Look at that, Parliament Hill. Look at this area. And some of this is corned off because of construction, but this construction isn't there anymore. It's just an open field. I remember, I was there. I was there not too long ago. Right? Or fine, not Parliament, fucking somewhere else. Find another area. Maybe this park if it's big enough. What have you. Shut off the streets. Ottawa's a dead town anyway. There's nothing that happens here at night. There's nothing. Or go to Confederation Park. I don't fucking know, man. Figure it out. Figure it out. But how amazing of a game would that be? Right? Or better yet, what if we had on the canal? Can you imagine how amazing it would be on the canal? You already got all that ice. You got all the streets around it that people can stand, or better yet, they can, be in the crowd, cut it off completely, have security, maybe set up a net so that people can't just throw shit. Look, these are just amateur ideas. I know I'm just kind of talking shit here, but realistically, Canada should have something like the US. Where they can just host the Indy 500. I mean, yeah, sure, we have it in Toronto too every now and then, but it's not a national spectacle. It's not something that people gather around. It's not a call to action, celebration of our exceptionalism, what have you. It should be. It should be. We should be just as patriotic. if not more. Why not? Set that as our aim. There's so much to love about this country, so many great things. I can't believe that we're missing out. We're missing out on this thing. Instead, we get fucking Carney Light, or sorry, Nationalism Light from Carney. Going to gay events and talking about this universal experience that people have. Apparently, everyone's gay in Canada. These shared experiences. What the fuck are you talking about? You're literally speaking to a gay group. Shared experiences. No men are watching this show either. It's all women. It's all women for the most part. It's all women. Now there's this infatuation with hockey. They call the rink the boy fish bowl. Like it's a fucking joke. It's a fucking joke. Anyways. So going on for Carney, Jesus Christ, that threw me for a loop. That photo actually got me fucked up for a minute. I couldn't believe that was my prime minister. I literally couldn't believe it. I mean, look at this. Let me pull it up again. This is so embarrassing. This is my nation's leader. I showed this to a couple of Americans the other day. Bro, they were fucking laughing at me. Cackling. Could you imagine Trump doing something like this? Could you imagine Putin doing something like this? Xi Jinping? Or any of the Europe? I mean, I guess the Europeans, they're a little frou-frou. I guess that's what they do. Kidding. I'm only kidding. I know I have Euros listening. I appreciate every one of you. I'm kidding. But you guys do have that stereotype. Not my fault. I didn't make it. But regardless, like, this is not the actions of a world leader. And then to have a speech about pandering to the people that are not even replacing your population. That should be our number one priority, apparently. Speaking to the gays that make up a fraction of the country's population. Insane. Insane. So anyways, the Conservative Party convention is having this event where they're all getting together, they're voting on who should be leader, and you know what? Let's double check on that. Conservative leadership review. Okay, still not up results, but I will keep refreshing that as we go along throughout the show. So they have this convention where they get together. They're going to vote on certain things, certain not bylaws, but agreements that they have for the Conservative Party in terms of who can get in regarding the voting process, who can actually vote to elect the leader, how they operate, some of the policies they're going to be talking about, all these different things. And they obviously also have the leadership review, where Pierre's leadership is going to go to a vote. Chances are he'll win. Realistically, the party hasn't thrown their weight behind a single other candidate that I know of in any significant way. He seems to be the only champion for now, which, God, so disappointing. It's so disappointing that there's not even like any real alternative. Nobody's stepping up to the mound in a successful enough way to be able to sway the votes in their favor. I'm sure there's candidates that went up for it, but realistically, nobody else is going to get it. It's all Pierre's. And the reason that I have a problem with that is because he's too soft. He's too soft and forgiving, and you'll see, like, he's complicit in some of these things, especially regarding immigration. You know, one thing that Canadian leaders of political parties love to do for some reason, and I don't understand why, but they love to play dress up. And you would think that it's just a Trudeau thing because, you know, he was a drama teacher. That was kind of his bread and butter. That's what he did. But even Pierre is guilty of this for some reason. Like, they will just go and meet with people and wear their headdresses, which, like, okay, I guess out of respect or something. But this is just weird. It's very weird because you're signaling to me that you were in a place where you had to abide by their cultural ideals, and instead of sticking to your own or finding some kind of middle ground where you guys can meet and you don't have to wear the headdress, you fully give in and say, "I have your back." Right? The fact that he's wearing, which I believe that's a turban, or like a form of a turban light. The fact that he's wearing one is signaling this allegiance to them. He's saying, I understand, I'm observing your culture's ways, even though we're in Canada. This isn't part of Canadian culture. This is just their racial enclave that they've created with their temples, right? Their churches, their own religions, their own areas where you'll barely see. Like, you'll go into some areas of Canada, you'll barely see any English. It's all just in their own language. You know, and it's not just reserved to Indians. The Chinese will do this. The Koreans will do this too. Not to the same extent the Japanese, but realistically, like, yeah, you'll go into places where all the branding, all the signage is geared towards their language, and English is just little smidget at the bottom. And so this Dominion Society of Canada, this group that I was talking about earlier, they unveiled this poster to essentially say that Pierre Poilievre, he's not conserving anything. He's actually going along with these people. He's saying that he will fight for their ideals. But their ideals are not necessarily Canadian ideals, and he should be fighting for our ideals. Right? Shouldn't he?
This isn't very conservative in my book. I'm tired of the turbans. We need to preserve our identity. It's time for the Conservatives to clean up their act.
All right, yeah, so you head out now? Yeah, all right. Wonderful.
Edge having a friendly chat with security. They stood outside, did their thing. They also had another soundbite there where they actually talked about it.
What's the message today?
We don't think the Conservative Party is very conservative. Canada's undergoing the most dramatic cultural change in its history, and the Conservatives are silent to this. Not only are they silent, they're actively trying to pander to foreign ethnic groups, play dress up. We're tired of this. Like, if you're a real conservative, you would stand against this transformation of our society, and we're going to hold the Conservative Party accountable. The only option right now to preserve Canada's ethnocultural identity is remigration.
Thank you very much for your time. Much appreciated.
Yeah, he's right. He's actually 100% right in saying that. Canada was built on certain cultural ideals, right? Like we went over the episode before, peace, order, and good government being among them. And these people that come here, they don't hold these ideals. They bring their own cultural ideals. And eventually, if enough of them come over, then they become a voting bloc. And they start to vote along the ways of their own culture's ideals, their own community's ideals. And this is happening in real time, okay? There was a story just recently about the CBSA that I covered last episode, right? The Canada Border and Services Agency, where there was, I think, 259 cases of misconduct. And among those were cases where border agents were being lenient with certain immigration cases and leaning in favor of the person that was supposed to be deported. Right? Does that just happen because they're like a close friend of that person? Maybe there's a bribe passed here and there, but realistically, it's along racial lines. That's what they do. They look out for each other. And I've stated this before. This is a fact. Whenever you have, let's say, like Indians, for instance, whenever they get into a business, they start to hire their own. There was literally a Reddit post the other day just about this, where somebody was talking about living in Canada, right? I believe it was living in Canada or Canada unemployment or something like that. Also, what the fuck? That's a crazy Prince Andrew photo. Yeah, here it is. And look, fine. This is just a Reddit post. It's not, you know, this isn't verbatim a story, but I've heard stories like this before from people that I actually know. People that work in various fields, right? Where Indians, what they do is they have this cultural nepotism. They will only hire their own. And so eventually everyone else just gets forced out of the business and it's all Indians. Go to the majority of Tim Hortons. They're all Indian. Okay? Just about every single Tim Hortons you go to, the chances of you having, like, seeing a white person or a non-Indian are slim to none. Especially in urban centers. For fuck's sake, there was that one case where I think it was the Harvey franchises somewhere in, like, I think Northern Ontario, some small town. All the franchises were going to close, or not close, but fire all of their workers. Some of them who had been there for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Right? And I don't know. It wasn't Harvey's. It was Tim Hortons. They were about to have that happen to them. All those people. And they made us stink about it on Facebook the morning of that they heard about this announcement. And by the end of the day, Tim Hortons walked it back and said, we're actually not going to allow for this transfer to happen. Those people are going to keep their jobs. It was like 2 weeks before Christmas. So yeah, I'm actually fairly convinced the fact that Indians have to an extent a level of nepotism, cultural nepotism, where they will actually just hire their own. And here's his post. Let me read this quote. I live in a pretty white town and work at Canadian Tire. Our new store manager is an Indian woman. I didn't think anything of it until a bunch of new workers started showing up. They're all Indian and half are related to her. They have no clue what they are doing and walk around the store all day doing nothing. Honestly, saw the subreddit posted to X and thought I'd share. It's out of control. Yeah, this happens everywhere. Right? Like I said, even if we take this this out of the loop just because it's some fucking Reddit post that could have been made by anyone. Right? Mind you, this subreddit shut down immediately as soon as this went viral because Reddit will not stand for that shit. But if this is a signal that even the normies are like, hey, this is kind of fucked up. They're actually just shoving people out of businesses. They're not letting the average person, the everyday Canadian, work for them. They're just hiring along racial lines. No decent Canadian is doing that. They'll just hire the best person for the job. Right? Because apparently we're fucking retards, and what we should be doing is hiring only our own. I mean, they are, so we might as well too. Fuck. Like, if that's what it takes to save Canadian culture and Canadian workers, at this point, I'll take it. Even if it costs more. Right? That's why, like, part of my merch, right, I want to make sure that it's made in Canada for, like, as much of it as possible. At the moment, not feasible, but one day it will be. But besides that, you know, regardless of the merch, the Conservatives, okay, they are pandering to this. Why else would Pierre Poilievre be doing this? Right? Why else would Pierre Poilievre be doing this? Here's a nice little compilation. Oh, I can't play the music. Wow, look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And finally 9. Like, I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. He's wore more costumes than Trudeau. I hope this is the one that this post here is of Trudeau, because that one is wild. Oh, no. This is... You know what? Let me just play this.
Let's bring a direct flight to Amritsar. It's crazy that we have 1 million Punjabis in Canada, but no direct flight. I am going to fight every day for the flight. Singapore, Malaysia, UK, Italy, they all have a direct flight that the Indian government has allowed. Canada needs strong leadership to bring home a flight. You deserve it. It's common sense. The common sense of the common people united for our common home. Your home, my home, our home. Let's bring it home. Olé son dias. Why guru chikakasa? Why guru chikibate? Let's
bring it home. Yeah, let's get more Indians. Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Direct flight. Direct flight to India. Fucking Insane. Insane. Yeah, I support direct flights out of Canada. Okay? Out of Canada. I also support direct flights. I wish that the government had the balls to do what Trump is doing and offer Indians $1,000, right? $1,000 and a free flight. We'll take all your assets, turn them into cash. You know, give us your fucking your e-bikes, clothing, everything. Yeah, we'll burn the clothing. We'll keep all the tech and all the other stuff that you have, and we'll offer you $1,000 and a free flight out of Canada. But the rule is you can never come back. That's the rule. You can never come back. I support those kind of flights. Absolutely. I'm all for it, man. I am all for it. I'm all for it. But Pierre is for them coming here, apparently. I mean, even he's not reversing rhetoric on this in any significant way. This is wild for you to be going to these events and saying shit like that. You know, like, they're not going to the Polish population and saying, we need a direct flight to Krakow, right? Which I believe is the capital of Poland, right? No, what's the capital? No way I actually got it wrong. Hold on. Warsaw. Jesus, wow, what a fucking... God damn it. Krakow was next. That was close. Should have known that. Not all that good a geoguesser, but he's not going and telling these people, yeah, let's get direct flights to Warsaw, direct flights to Moscow, direct flights to Beijing. Probably have those flights, and I mean, I guess that's why he's not talking about them. But he's not talking about them, more importantly, because he's not going to these communities. He's not going to speak to them. He's going to speak to the Indians. Wow, yet another reason the fucking conservatives are actually just limp dick liberal light. The triple L, limp dick liberal light. That's what they are. That's what they are. And I'm not clowning Pierre for just doing this. I will gladly clown Trudeau because he did the exact same fucking thing. I mean, look at this. Okay, not this. This is funny. This is hilarious. Objectively hilarious. But this the famous trip to India where he just completely shit the bed. He just completely shit the bed and fucked up the trade deal that he was going to do with them, which I'll clown him for, right? Also glad that it didn't work out. I guess he apparently just disrespected them, or they didn't want him there. This, whatever the fuck this is, like, why are you in full native headdress? What are you doing? Isn't that, like, reserved for chiefs? And also, enough of that. It's fucking 2026. We're beyond that. We got, like, regular hats now. Baseball caps. You can just or wear nothing. Why are you virtue signaling to the indigenous? This is insane. Insane activity. Do you see Trump in a fucking headdress? Or Barack Obama? Right? Xi Jinping wearing a fucking native headdress. Could you imagine how funny that would be? Putin wearing Kazakh clothes. Insanity. This shit, whatever the fuck that, like, why, man? Why are you pandering to them? We would respect you more if you came in a flannel, right? Like, if you came in like this kind of flannel, we would respect you more. Oh, okay, that's just a Canadian guy. That flannel and blue jeans. And fucking sneakers. Or better yet, like some leather shoes. Right? Don't even have to wear a toque. Nope, he decides to fucking dress like this. Great. Our leaders. Our dear leaders. Unbelievable. What a fucking clown country. What an absolute circus. And so naturally, right, the not to get too far away from that, naturally the reaction to seeing these people, we have people calling them racists. Or at least this fucking clown, Mike Petch, whoever the fuck he is. He says, quote, I went to the BMO Center and around 4:30ish and about 20 white nationalist Dominion Society members were about 50 meters from the train platform with their remigration banners. Okay. Like, do you really think this does anything anymore? You think calling us white nationalists, racists, does anything anymore? At this point, we'll own it. If that's what it means, like, instead of actually like engaging with the idea and just thinking, okay, maybe there's like an argument to be made here. Maybe I should consider the ideas. No, you immediately go to racist. You immediately go to white nationalist. And you're not using that as like a classifier because you understand the group. You know, you're making an assessment. You're not showing your work. You're just using that as a throwaway line. Using that to disparage these people as if they're like hateful. They're not hateful. This movement, it's not about hate. It's about loving your country. It's about loving the things that made it great. It's about realizing that we are living in a fucking shitstorm. And that I'm not even making a joke with that and Indian migration. I'm literally we're living in a shitstorm. Like I said last episode, we have 5 million visas about to expire. The youth unemployment rate has not been this high in years, since even before 2008 in the financial crisis. Okay, and the youth unemployment rate, the reason that matters, is because those people, the youth, are the ones that need employment the most among the poor and the elderly, right? These are people that need it. When you're in your 30s, 40s, you got a degree, some work experience under your belt, you can get a decent job, right? Or it's assumed that the likelihood of you having a stable job at that point in your life, it's much more than the youth. You know, you're in school. Maybe you got to take care of your parents. Maybe you got other responsibilities. You're it's not a stable way of life. You're just kind of looking for your next opportunity because you don't know shit. You don't have a resume. You haven't worked for 10, 20, 30, however many years. Right? And that's not to say that the unemployment rate for older people doesn't matter. It does, but for the youth it matters more because this is the next generation. If they don't have enough employment, then what happens when they turn 30, 40, 50, right? What are the after effects of this? Right? Your youth is when you're fucking around, right? That's the time when you have the most unlimited time on your hands. You don't have a family to take care of. You don't have a ton of bills. That's a time for you to go out and explore. That's a time when you got to be taking risks. And if these people don't have access to financial capital or abilities, like opportunities to get experience, to understand what the world is like, they're just stagnating. What does that say for what happens when they get older? When they start getting into positions of power, when they start getting opportunities to work elsewhere? What kind of experience are they going to bring? You know, what does that do? Imagine like all those summer jobs that you used to have, that you used to be able to just walk into a store, hand a resume. Okay, I'm spending my summer back home away from university. I got 4 months. Let me work at a fucking garden center. Let me work at a Canadian Tire. Or even during the year as a student, let me work at a mall. Those are the jobs that people are working. That's the average gig. Like unless you have an internship, unless you have a hookup in the university doing research or what have you, like most people, they're not working at fucking RBC as financial analysts. They're working the counter. Okay? They're stocking the clothes. They're putting the groceries away, the carts away. They're painting houses. Like those are the kind of jobs. And if youth don't have access to that, that not only fucks them over, that fucks them over for generations. So once again, like this person just completely deciding to dismiss these people is so emblematic of Canada, and it actually explains why most of these people, like they're not welcome in the conservative movement in Canada. They're not welcome. It's exactly why, because Canadians have this weird I don't know, we have this weird aversion to standing up for ourselves. I guess it's just it's too many people legitimately feel guilty about being white or living in a prosperous nation or the opportunities that they've been given, and they've been not brainwashed, but like effectively manipulated to thinking that no, unlimited immigration is actually a good thing. It's actually a great thing. We need more of it. Youth unemployment rate, whatever, they'll fucking manage. Yeah, who's going to take care of you when you're older? Who's going to take care of you? Who's going to inherit the earth? It's the youth. Like, really? You want to fuck over an entire generation like that? Because when we deport these people, and we will deport these people, right? We will deport these people. That is the mission. We're going to do everything in our damnedest to deport all these fucking people and to slow the rate of immigration. The next problem is, right, because we have to think beyond that, the next problem is, what do we do? Now we have massive gaps in the market that we need to fill with our own population as fast as possible. As fast and as effectively as possible. We have to be able to stop the bleed immediately. So that when entire businesses go under, we have new ones popping up within months. Right? That's the environment that we have to create. Because look, as nice it is to talk about remigration and all these ideas that are outside of the conservative movement and why it's so wrong that the Conservative Party is not considering any of these things seriously, if we're actually talking about solutions, if we're actually talking about what remigration means, okay, fine. Let's say we deport them. What do we do next? We need to stop the bleed. We need to get the youth employed. We need to get them trained. We need to make it so that our economy is ready for that transition. We have to create an atmosphere where business development is part of our national brand for people wishing to start a new business. There was literally a story just the other day of these two kids. I mean, they're essentially kids. They're not even like 20, I don't think, or they're in their early 20s at least. They're taking their business that's valued, I think, at like $5 billion or several hundred million over to San Francisco instead of developing in Canada because it's just untenable to develop it here because of the high tax rate, because of all the regulations, the fact that our tech scene just isn't there. I mean, it's there, but it's diminished. It's not a blooming industry. We have the smarts, we have the talents, but they're going elsewhere. They're going to San Fran because that's where the money is. That's where the opportunity is. That's where the investors are. That's where the environment is. And if it's not San Fran, then it's elsewhere in America. Because why would you bother building at home? Why would you bother losing billions at home? Why would you risk that? Why? Nobody in their right mind is going to do that. The average person is just going to be like, fuck this, I'm just going to America. This country doesn't really feel all that nationalistic anyways. I don't feel like I have ties to it. Who cares? Maybe eventually I'll come back. You know, where was that? Where's that story? Hold on. Story about Canadian duo moving their business to SF. Sorry, it wasn't billion. $34 million valuation business that's transferred to the United States. Quote, she tried to bring Silicon Valley's tech energy to Vancouver. Why did she leave to build a US startup instead? Great. 4.5 million USD pre-seed round for data center financing platform. Great. Even more millions just leaving Toronto, or rather Canada, sorry. My trainer and her team wanted to build a community for the city's Gen Z tech scene to rival those in Silicon Valley. But when it came time to build her own AI startup, she decamped to San Francisco instead. What a surprise. The youth are going elsewhere. All that productive energy, all that capital, all that innovation flowing down to the border. Flowing down beyond the border and going to San Fran. Great. All the fucking tech expertise, everything. Just leaving Canada. And who can blame them? Who can blame them? So this labeling of racism, right? The whole reason that we started all this, calling these people racist, they're not racist. They just want that shit to stop. They want the youth employed. They want the nation to be built. They want the leeches of a society to stop sucking off of Canada's teat. And yeah, that includes the refugees. There was an article, I've pulled it up here on the show before. I think like close to 40% of all Syrian immigrants that have come here since that civil war, right? Since that war broke out, maybe not, sorry, not civil war, but since the Syrian war broke out, 40% of them are still living on government assistance to this day. It's been like a fucking decade. And 40% of them are still on government assistance? And I'll even Google that. 40% of Syrians on government assistance, Canada. Oh, fuck off. No. Hold on. News story about what percent of Syrians in Canada still living on government assistance. Apologies for the spelling, but we're going to fact check this in real time because I do remember. This was absolutely insane. Yeah, 50%. About 50% of government assisted refugees were still relying on social assistance 5 years after arrival. 50% living on government assistance 5 years after arrival. Rates were even higher for later cohorts, 69.5% for the 2016 cohort after 4 years. Jesus fucking Christ. And this is just the Syrians. This is just but one group. Just one. How many of these groups do we have? How many people are living off social assistance in Canada? You know, I don't know if I've said it before, but, you know, Minnesota is but a cog in the fraud scandals that plague America. Could you imagine what we have here in Canada? How many people are living off of government assistance here, considering that we're considered, you know, a socialist democracy, essentially? Not fully socialist, but in a lot of ways, we are. That's what these people want to put to a stop to. They want to remigrate them. They should go back home. Because a lot of these people, they don't have allegiances to Canada. They have allegiances to their neighbors, right? To their own cultural ties, to their national ties. Last I checked, Syria is living, I don't know, just fine now. Now that they killed the dictator. All these people, are they going to go back home? Fuck no. They're going to stay here in Canada. Because we got running water, no risk of war in the region. Not anytime soon anyways. All the benefits they're living off of, why would they go back home? Why? These people need to be removed from greater society. If you're in Canada and you're still living on government socially assisted funds, taxpayer funds, 5 years after being in the country, you should be deported automatically. Unless you literally have the worst luck. Like, what, both of your kids died, your wife left you? Okay. There are exceptions to be made. Your last 5 years have been absolutely fucked. Right? But if you've literally made no attempt to get a job, to learn the language, to adapt to the customs, to do anything. The amount of people I meet on a daily basis in this city that can't fucking speak English, insane. Insane. The amount of people that need translators. And I'm not talking about newcomers and fresh off the boats. No. I'm talking people that have been here a while. Okay? People that have clearly been here for a while and still can't fucking learn the language. No. Get all those people the fuck out of here. Insane. And so, yeah, this label of racist, it's a cheap fucking trick. All you're doing is what? Like, congratulations. You're using the left's tactics against your own people. Insane. And what's even more crazy, right? What's even more crazy is that during this convention, right now, just today, they had a vote to see if they had to change their policy regarding who could vote for leader. Because right now, the Liberal Party, as a result of the foreign interference scandals that we had last year, or not last year, but the years before, right? When Mark Carney initially went for a leadership vote, they had to change their rules. They had to change their rules to essentially say that only citizens could vote or permanent residents, right? They made the rules saying that you had to be at least 14 years of age, which is also crazy. No 14-year-old is in tune with politics. 14-year-olds are thinking about jacking off, the new Call of Duty, fucking 6-7, and Roblox. That's all they do. They're not in line with it. They don't understand this. Their brains are barely developed. They're halfway to being developed. You really only get a sense of what life is like at the age of, like closer to 30. People say 25 because your frontal cortex is supposed to be developed by then. A lot of people say it's like a light bulb just switches off in your head one day. As if you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have that extra Twinkie. Maybe I shouldn't smoke all this weed, and maybe I should get a job, and all that kind of kicks in. Realistically, by 30, right, on average. So they're halfway there, and they're supposed to be allowed to vote for the leader of the fucking nation, potentially? Are you kidding me? What? They can't even drink. They can't even vote in the federal election. Why are they allowed to vote in this? This is insane. Is this just for the people that are like so bought into their party, they bring their kids along and they have them vote? That's fucking nutty. 14-year-olds should not be able to do anything like that. That's why we don't let 14-year-olds drive. Okay, that's why we don't let them smoke or drink or watch porn. Right? You can't get into a movie theater unless you got a good fake ID and you look old enough. We set all these rules for a reason because they're not at that developmental stage yet. Do you even remember what it was like to be 14? Do you remember? Thinking back, when was that? For me, I'm not going to say which year because I'm not trying to dox myself, but that's basically middle school. You're entering middle school, right? That's, around there. Just before high school, essentially. Like grade 7, 8, something like that. What are you thinking about? Like maybe university? I don't know. The new comic, the new show on Netflix, what have you? Nope, we're just letting them fucking vote. Insane. Insane. I can't smoke menthols, but I can vote for the next potential leader of the nation. Crazy. So anyways, they got to be at least 14, support the purposes of the party, be a Canadian citizen, have status under the Indian Act, or be a permanent resident of Canada, not be a member of any other federal political party in Canada, and while registered as a Liberal, not have publicly declared an intention to be a candidate for election of the House of Commons other than as a candidate of the party. Right? They had to set those rules because previous to this, they had it so that anyone could vote. You didn't have to be a citizen. Non-citizens could vote. And because this caused such a hubbub, they were like, all right, we're going to change the rules. The Conservatives voted just today to keep those rules in place so non-citizens can vote who the leader is of the Conservative Party. Okay, let me repeat that. People that are not citizens of the nation can vote for the potential leader of the nation if they are not a citizen. They can do that. And the Conservatives, they struck the motion down to change it. More people voted in favor of keeping the status quo. And what happened when they were questioned on it? What happened when they actually started questioning the people that voted for this? They just walked away.
Do you believe that non-citizens should vote in your party's nomination races?
That's the way it is right now.
But you voted to allow it. Why?
I voted the entire room, actually.
So no, but you personally voted to allow it. Why is that? Sorry?
Did I?
Yeah, you voted to allow.
I just voted to allow the status quo. That's right.
So do you feel that non-citizens should be allowed to vote on internal CPC elections?
No, it's just a matter of should they have a membership, right? And it's important that we include people, Canadians of all different backgrounds and different perspectives, to be a part of this large tent party that's going to be governing sometime soon.
Right.
Okay?
And
But only
Okay, this guy's mic is fucking awful. Jesus Christ, I can't. I can't. I can't stand that. Let me see if I can find the better video because that was just insane. Yeah, there's the photo of him voting it down. Look at that gut. Jesus fucking Christ. Get it together, man. Get it together. Where is the? Oh God, fucking. Why does my browser always do this? Why is Timothy Chalamet in this? Hold on, I believe Juno News. They had a reporter on it. Let's see if we can't find the actual video because they had much better quality. Buddy, like you couldn't find a better mic? Seriously? There we go.
allowed to be members of the party. Today at the Conservative Convention, members voted on that, and it was defeated thanks to Tim Upple's vote.
I just voted to allow the status quo. That's right.
So do you feel that non-citizens should be allowed to vote on internal CPC elections?
No, it's just a matter of should they have a membership, right? And it's important that we include people, Canadians of all different backgrounds and different perspectives, to be a part of this large tent party that's going to be governing sometime soon.
Right.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
But only citizens vote in the
so do you feel that non-citizens should be allowed to be members of the party?
No, I don't think any people born outside this country should be allowed to work in any positions of power within our government. Absolutely not. It leaves the door open for conflicts of interest. I mean, we see Michael Baugh, we see all these foreigners come in and flip like that. I don't want any foreigners working as members of parliament. If they want to come here, their kids have kids here who become Canadian citizens, they could work in the government, absolutely. But you cannot come to this country, immigrate here, and then work in the government. This is like foolish. It's foolish policy. It's a national security risk.
And look, these are just random people that they're asking, but the point is, his answer to that was saying, "Oh, I'm just going with the status quo." Yeah, I'm just going with the status quo. I voted with the room. You know, I had the room's support behind me. That's why I voted that way. Not like stand on principle, man. Don't cower away from that. Just say what you want to say. Be a fucking man. Okay? Don't hide behind all these words and all these clever tricks and then running away from the interviewer. Just say what you mean to say. We're desperate for votes, we're hungry for people, and we need to build a coalition of as many people as possible. Just say it. Just say it. Be open about it. I would at least have more respect for you if you did that than whatever the fuck this is. Why are they letting non-citizens choose the potential next leader of our country? Haven't the Conservatives literally been talking about foreign interference for years? They're advocating for this in Parliament, saying that we need more investigations, we need to further look into it. And now this, in their own convention? How does Pierre Poilievre even ever talk about foreign interference when within his own party he's not even able to dissuade enough people to do this, to vote against this? No foreign-born person should be even a member of government. If you're foreign-born, you cannot have a role in our government. You can't be a clerk. You can't be a politician. You can't be a representative. That should be law. If you're not born in this country, you don't get to have the benefits of being able to work for the government. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry, actually. Because as that random person said, it absolutely opens the door to potential foreign interference. It does. Absolutely. You know, why is it that Michael Ma has all these ties to people from the CCP? Why did he go to all these different meetings where he's pictured standing with them, singing all these patriotic songs? What the fuck is he doing? Like, with all due respect, once again, this is not labeling an entire community. It's just saying that because this is a risk, because at some point this is going to come back and bite us in the ass, this should be a rule. We need to exclude everybody that is foreign born from this position. Regardless if it's 99% of them well-meaning, that 1%, they're going to turn against Canada and go for their own cultural interest, for their own national interests, for a nation that they don't even live in, from the nation that they were born in, that they're from. No. We need to nip that in the butt right now. We need to get everybody that is foreign born out of power. They need to be booted. Every single party, no exceptions. Every single one of them. And I say that as somebody that's not even born in Canada. Okay? I say that as someone that immigrated here. So yeah, I understand what that means. I can never work for the government. Good. Because at least then I can sleep soundly knowing that that's not something that we have to worry about. And that's not to say that people won't turn, right? That people can't be convinced that somehow Canadians are impervious, but at least it closes that door, the possibility, right? To an extent, it closes that door. Yeah, China and Israel and America and all these different foreign powers and Russia, Iran, what have you, they will try to coerce our politicians. And that's the game that we all play. I understand those rules. What I don't understand is why we're allowing these people to work there. We're letting this happen. They're advocating foreign interests that have no place in Canada. And yet, so the Conservative Party is allowing these people to vote. So all this talk that Pierre Poilievre has against foreign interference, it doesn't mean shit. You're letting foreigners vote who should be the leader, who will advocate for your interests. And if you're talking about building this big tent, right, that's the message of the day. The Conservatives are talking about, oh, we're big tent. Our policies are actually really popular with Canadians. You know, the Liberals adopted our policies. Look how conservative we are. Conserving what? What are you conserving? Once again, to the point of the Dominion Society, what are you conserving? You know, that's why this episode is titled Conservative Cucks, because they're cucking themselves. They're sitting, the Conservative Party is sitting in the corner while while Canada is getting fucked. And they're watching it get fucked, and they're sitting on the sidelines. It's not the Conservative Party of Canada, it's the fucking cuck party of Canada. They're sitting on the sidelines and watching us get fucked, and they're not doing anything about it. What's more is that they seem to be getting off on it. Pierre, I guarantee you, in all his speeches and everything, oh my God, the government they take so many of your taxes. We're not even talking about deportation. Didn't say shit about that, about remigration. Oh my God, I love seeing so many conservatives in one place, but it must freak the Liberals out enough to invoke the Emergencies Act. Oh, the convoy is so funny. Yeah, this is our guy. This is our guy, really? The Canadian Promise isn't a suggestion, it's a contract, and it's been broken by more than a decade of Liberal rule. Yeah, you're breaking it too, fuckface. Well, you think this guy's a paramount of virtue? You know, at one point I did believe. At one point I thought, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, I'll have some faith. Nope. Fell for it again. Fell for it again. And I learned my lesson. They should have swept. They had no excuse. Pierre Poilievre should have swept the last election. Literally swept it. There was no excuse there. Absolute fucking piss poor performance. And honestly, they might even lose this time too. Crazy. Like, look, fine. He's saying all the right things. Oh my God, he's saying all the right things. Oh my God. All those talking points. He's so cool in questioning period. Oh my God. Yeah, suck his dick even more, why don't you? He's not doing shit. And he's not going to do shit. Even if the Conservatives win, they're not going to go as hard as they need to. If they can't even kick foreigners out from voting in their own party, everything they say is forfeit. Everything. That is fundamental. That is literally fundamental to what needs to happen to Canada, right? Because as I said in the last episode, what's happening in Minnesota needs to happen in Canada. Absolutely. To the exact same scale. We need to have agents out there going into businesses, arresting people that have fraudulent trucking licenses. Right? That one story of that pedophile that's been caught in fucking immigration limbo for the past like 8 years. Convicted of pedophilia, of owning pedophile content. Owning, rather. And he's still in Canada. Jesus Christ, there was just this one story today. Not today, but yesterday, of a doctor that sexually assaulted or tried to sexually assault a teenager. Tried to take advantage of her. Here it is. In Canada, doctors can sexually harass their teenage patients, try to manipulate them into sex, and will almost take a decade before anything is done. Your hard-earned taxpayer dollars at work. Yeah, this is an independent investigation. This isn't even like major media. Nobody's talking about this. In my culture, we buy women everything. Really? This is the fucking guy we should have as a doctor? Guys have needs, though. At that point, you made noises and movements to imitate sex, moaning and grunting and rocking your body slightly. Read the court transcript. Insane. Why is this guy still in fucking Canada? And this wasn't even the first case. He had another case like a decade ago where he did the same thing to another patient. What the fuck? This guy should be put on a fucking catapult and launched out of the country. Insane. Fucking sane. Grade 16 and grade 11. Can you imagine how vulnerable a girl feels in that moment? Her and just a giant fucking, well, relative to size, giant man towering over her, telling her all these things. What the fuck, man? And Pierre Poilievre is over here talking about, oh, we got to stand up to him. You got to stand up to the libs. We're the party of workers, small business owners, and young people. Yeah, fucking sure, dude. Whatever you say, man. Whatever you fucking say. You can't even get foreigners to stop voting in your fucking in your party conference. Sorry, I apologize for all the swearing. It's just, I know it gets excessive, but this is it's crazy. It's nothing short of crazy. They'll make these overtures, they'll make these speeches, they'll make these appearances, but it doesn't mean anything. What is the Conservative Party doing? They've been handed a silver platter. A win on a silver platter for years now. Their only job is to stand up and say the Liberals have an awful record. Immigration has destroyed the country and its fabric that makes it up the culture of it. Completely. Just in the last episode, I showed 3 instances, 3 separate beaches across Canada that all had E. coli outbreaks because there's so much shit in the water. You think that's just happening by accident? 3 different beaches in 3 different provinces in Canada, all within a month of each other. That's just a coincidence? Really? It's just a coincidence that we happen to import millions of Indians and that happens? Really? Indians from rural India? No mention of that. No mention of the people that have died in all those trucking accidents, the driving accidents. I'm sure he talked about the extortions and everything, but look, at the end of the day, they're not going to do shit. They're not going to do what needs to be done. You know why? Because the real people that are actually talking about it, right, these guys here, the remigration people, they're outside of the conference. They're not even being let in. They're considered too extreme for the party. This guy's labeling them as a racist. And fine, okay, so he's a fucking shitlib. Who gives a shit? This is the common sentiment in Canada. This is the problem with it. Canadians are too sensitive. If you mention remigration in public conversation out on the street in Toronto, you have a very high likelihood of someone turning around with a phone and being, "What the fuck did you just say?" and taking their camera out and filming you. That's the sentiment right here on the ground. And fine, okay, Toronto's an exception. Maybe if you go to Alberta or different towns, you'll find different people. Okay, sure. But nobody on CBC, nobody in the national media, like this is not a commonplace conversation to have. Right? Most people would see them as racists, as white nationalists. That's not at all what the movement is about. It has elements of it, right? Like if we're being honest and having this conversation openly, it does have elements of that because yes, whiteness, as they call it, as the left calls it, right? European colonialists, settlers, they built this nation. One way or another, okay? They built this nation with their own fucking blood, sweat, and tears. How many of them died to protect it, to preserve it, to build it? All the railroads, all the infrastructure. You know, as I was saying, for the most part, right, with a snowstorm and whatnot, who do you think is dealing with it? You think it's a bunch of fucking pink-haired trannies? No. No, it's a bunch of gruff men. It's a bunch of gruff men, and if you go out west, if you go out of all these urban areas, they're mostly white. They're mostly white. They are. They are because that's what they do. That's what they've been known to do. They're good old boys. They'll get the job done. Right? Like that's just this is an undeniable reality. That Canada's culture was built on the backs of these people. And what? It's an inconvenient thing because what the indigenous were involved and we had a testy relationship with them where we conquered them. Because of that awkward conversation, we're all of a sudden being like, no, we don't want no part of that. They built the nation. The white European settlers built this nation and we're just going to reject it? Really? Why? Why would you do that? Why would you reject the very thing that built your nation? What, because it's an ugly conversation to have? It's an uncomfortable one to have? Because we have unsettled scores? Really? What the fuck are we talking about? Are you serious? We invented the fucking telephone. Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. And we're going to turn away from that because it's awkward? Henry Dundas and all his accomplishments and everything he's done to the nation? The queen, the king, what have you? Like all these different cultural ideas, they're just awkward because colonialism? What the fuck is that all about? We should be proud. We should be proud to live in such a nation, in such an inhospitable environment that we conquered. Are you serious? These people conquered the fucking elements. They literally conquered the elements, and we're throwing all that away for some fucking Indians, for some rural Indians? Really? Are you serious? We're forsaking the family because we like that our prime minister is showing up at fucking RuPaul's Drag Race and all these gay shows? Like, well, that's what we're doing? Destroying the fabric of the family because it's uncomfortable to think the fact that Canada used to be majority white at one point? I mean, all these videos that I have in my pre-stream, right? All those highlights of the visits from the Queen, all those white people at the beach or just in the cities, like that's what Canada used to be. And it was pretty fucking good. It was pretty fucking good. And now we're in a place where people are having to choose between food and rent. Like, Jesus Christ, how did we get here? And I'm not asking that as a hypothetical. I know exactly, but just that's the feeling that it evokes. How the fuck did we get here? How did we go so far from our founding principles, from where we were? And I'm not talking about a return living in the log cabin. No, I'm not even talking about any of that. But let's have it. Let's have an understanding here of the ideals and the people that built our nation, and let's celebrate them. Let's honor them. Let's honor their memories and all the work that they put into making us what we are. Let's get back to making sense. That's all I'm asking. Not this appeal to various cultural diaspora and all these various groups, religious or otherwise. No, none of that shit. Get that out of politics. That has no place in conservative politics. What are you conserving? Right? That's their message here. Conserve what? What are you conserving? What part of Canadian identity are you conserving by meeting with those people? It's insane. It's insane. And not to mention, here's the thing, right? That guy that I mentioned earlier, that MP that voted against changing the rules so that foreigners could continue voting for leaders of our nation, potential leaders for our nation, leaders of the party. There was a scandal years ago, a decade plus ago, where his brother was linked to cocaine trafficking and drug possession. And in both cases, federal prosecutors withdrew the charges against him. Gee, isn't that weird? The brother of a well-known politician and a well-connected politician. That's so strange. All these ties regarding property sales, all these weird transactions, right? Independent media that managed to actually discover this and uncover this and do coverage on it. Really? Like this is the Canada we want, where politicians are like this? They look out for their own diaspora? Insane. And then of course, this guy goes on to say, no, we need non-citizens to be able to vote for our party. I'm just voting with the party line. I was voting with the room, and then walks away. Really? This is the kind of person you want representing you? This is the kind of person that you want representing Canada? Representing the conservative movement? Really? And then Pierre Poilievre goes to his community and meets with all these people, shakes hands with them, says, I'm going to look out for you. I'm going to get a direct flight to India. This is our guy? Really? Fucking embarrassing. Embarrassing. Pierre knows better. He knows better. He's just too much of a pussy. He's too much of a pussy to actually go all the way. Or he thinks that it's easier, it's better to just support these communities because likely they're going to vote for them. But realistically, you're not conserving anything. You're not actually conserving these ideals. It's insane. It's insane. And this is one of the presentations that they had at their party. Talking about social listening, right? They had all these breakout sessions where people go into rooms and they could essentially talk about, what are the things that the average person can do to get the conservative message out there? And there's a slide saying social listening. Stop guessing and start knowing what they're talking about. And it's all these things talking about, diversify your input of information, attend events, go to mixers, meet people, try to link up with influencers. And this is just the most cucked shit ever. One of the points is identify a key immigration influencer in the community and books a meeting. That's misspelled. I mean, you're only representing your political party. Like a fucking spelling mistake like that, embarrassing. And these are just the most general cucked things that you could do. Track support or opposition in real time for candidates, parties, and leaders. What is this? What is this? What are you talking? What, fucking read social media? Is that what you're saying? Identify growing issue within Reddit to be addressed. What do you mean Reddit? Reddit is a fucking psyop. Reddit is and I'm not saying that as some conspiracy. No. It's proven. Okay? There was an incident where internet traffic to some Air Force base was cut somehow in the US. They were, they lost connection to the internet, whatever the issue was. As soon as that cut out, a noticeable amount of Reddit traffic slowed the fuck down. I mean, it disappeared. It went away. It's like it never existed. Okay, and the reason that that's important is because the United States Air Force, that is the branch of the military that has a lot of their intelligence agencies and a lot of their PSYOP agencies. And they do have them. America literally has a PSYOP agency. They have a YouTube channel where they post recruitment videos. Like, this is not this is not a secret. They literally have a PSYOP agency. The primary military unit responsible is the 4th Psychological Operations Group Airborne. Wow. That's strange. I wonder if I look them up. I wonder what I'll find. Oh, look, it's a trailer. Look, it's a trailer for their fucking talking about how warfare is evolving. And people have to adapt. They literally have a ghost, a spook as one of their logos. They're at the forefront of the information war. And so one of their bases, right, one of the Air Force bases was downed. The internet traffic was downed. And so the entire swath of Reddit traffic just went down. Gee, I wonder if there's a link. I wonder if there's a link. Or the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell has the highest karma, like has the first account that reaches 1 million karma. I wonder if, maybe there's some manipulation involved here. I wonder. I mean, it just came out the other day that on X, whenever news about China comes on, they flood the platform with porn. They flood it with porn. Russia famously was dealing with Facebook. Right? America during the 2016 election was using voter information from quizzes and surveys that people did on Facebook. Part of the Cambridge Analytica scandal. This is real. And the Conservative Party is talking about, oh, use Reddit for your research? Are you out of your fucking mind? Why? Why would you ever do that? That's so fucking dumb. Jesus Christ, this party is fucking cooked. And look, I understand, okay, this is just but one slide, one presentation. I'm not trying to extrapolate right beyond my means. I understand what this is. It was just a simple presentation. But if you're actually going to tell people, look, we need legitimate support for our ideas. How do we push the culture forward? How do we make Canada and Canadians understand that this way of life is untenable? The Prime Minister's the budget office of the Prime Minister said literally there is no way back. If we keep going down this road, there is no way back. If we keep spending this amount of money on these programs, there is no way back. We are at a turning point. If we do not change course soon, we are fucked for years to come, and future generations are going to be paying for it. I'm not making that up. That's the Prime Minister's budget office. Okay? Sorry, the Parliamentary Budget Office. The RCMP had that report that leaked that said if Canadians knew how bad they had it, they would revolt. Okay? These are things that people need to watch out for, right? How do we get that point across? How do we convince people that actually what the CBC says... Sorry, my cat's just fucking around. That what the CBC says actually isn't true all the time. Actually, they're lying to you on a lot of things, and they're actually extremely biased. Right? No mention of that, like nothing. This is their training, really? This is what you're doing at the Conservative conference? That's when you have the most eyes on the Conservative Party, besides the election? This is what you decide to do with it? Fucking cucked. Absolutely cucked. Absolutely cucked. And how is any of that, right? All this voting, all these speeches, how are you going to solve any of this? This is in BC. Fucking tent cities. There are tent cities in Canada. Insane. Insane. And fine, you think, oh, okay, this is just one example. Look at that tent city. 7 months ago. Wow, would you look at that? A whole fucking row of tents living by the road. This is normal. This is just fine. We just have Canadians living like that, really? A dude just fucking passed out. Like this is a common scene. This is a common scene across Canada. Go to enough places in downtown and you will see this in just about every major city. This is not normal. Right? And Pierre Poilievre and his party, they will gladly come out and they'll all talk about this, right? They'll gladly say, oh, that this is a problem. We need to stop spending money on this. We need to do this. We need to do that. What are they actually going to do about it? What are they actually going to do about it? It really doesn't seem like they're turning the public on the side of what actually needs to happen. A lot of it just seems like empty rhetoric. Fucking crazy, man. Like, look, the national broadcaster is coming out and saying this thing is politicized. Politics has nothing to do with this. Not in the sense that, oh, because it's a right-wing issue, we should actually ignore this. Oh my God, the conservatives pounce. Conservatives are pouncing on this issue. You have Canadians living on the fucking street. You have Canadians living on the street to the point where it's never been like this in the history of our country. It's never been this fucking bad. And this isn't just in BC. This isn't just in Kelowna. This is across the nation. This is across the nation. This is in the subway. This is in the bus. This is on the street. This is in the alleys of restaurants while families are going for dinner. Kids walking by. Thousands of people just fucking wasting away in the downtown core. And not just downtown core. You see that they're on the side of some fucking highway here. It's insane. And so the conservatives are handed a layup. This is a freebie. They're literally given free, unfettered range to roam and just shit on the liberals. And what do? They pussy out. What their messaging actually, you know what, if this isn't just a podcast where I'm shitting on them, their actual messaging, what it needs to be is the liberals, okay, for the past 10 plus years, they have made this possible. If you or a loved one has died of opiate overdose or is wound up on the streets or can't afford your bills, can't afford this, can't afford that, it's because of the liberals. It's because of what they did. It's because of what this government did to you. And we are not going to budge on that. We're not going to bend on that. We are going to oppose them at every turn. We are going to defend Canadians. We're going to defend the culture that built this nation. We're not going to give in to native tribes and all their fucking bullshit. And the reason that I say that is because as I pulled up in several episodes at this point, the Canadian government has spent twice as much money on Indigenous affairs than they do the military. And by Indigenous affairs, I mean land claims, all the benefits that we give them, all the socialized services that we give them access to. Right? And their communities are still fucking destitute. They're living in fucking shacks. Their literacy rate, their joblessness rate are beyond concerning. And what do the conservatives have to say? No, they're not talking about how liberals are not the liberal ideology. Right? Not liberalism as in like the classic liberalism in some academic sense. No, I mean the Liberal Party of Canada has actively poisoned us. They've actively poisoned us, your families, your loved ones, your kids, entire future generations. They've completely fucked them. And they need to ramp up the rhetoric. They need to remind Canadians 24/7 that this is happening because of the Liberals, and they need to make it easy to understand. Forget this partisanship bullshit. They need to make these people that believed in these policies, that pushed for safe supply, people that push for this immigration, they're actively killing this nation. Because they are. That's not even hyperbole. By taking away job access from the youth, from the up-and-coming generations, by just kneecapping them, not giving them an opportunity to get a leg up, not giving them an opportunity to buy a house, to have a car, to live in a decent apartment, to have a livable wage, not have to work 2, 3, however many jobs, a side hustle, get fucked on the ass in taxes, get fucked on food. The conservatives should be harnessing the pain, the absolute destruction, just the sheer banditry that the liberals have brought on their own people, because they want to be the nice ones and virtue signal to us. That's why we're suffering. That's why we're paying out the ass for the carbon tax. Is because they want to stand there and say, oh my God, I defended the environment. Oh my God, look at me. Really? Fuck these people. And fuck the conservatives for not going hard enough. Honestly, I used to be of the mind that at least the conservatives aren't as bad. The fact that, once again, they're cucks. The Conservative Party of Canada is cucked. They're standing in the corner watching Canada get fucked, and they're getting off on it. And I'm not saying like literally, as in Pierre Poilievre goes home and takes joy in the fact that what the Liberals are doing. No. I'm sure that many of these people, right, when they meet with their constituents, like they're aware of the issues. I understand that. I'm not saying that the Conservative Party isn't doing work. I'm not saying that they're completely useless. They serve a purpose as the official opposition. I understand that. I'm not dismissing all the work that they've done. Look, to an extent, I appreciate what they do for the Canadian people day in and day out, stemming the tide from the Liberal wave. I understand that. I'm not dismissing that. But they are dropping the ball big time. They were handed a win last election. This new election that's coming up may or may not happen. Chances are it will within the next 6 months or so. Right? It seems like it. Carney's hyping up that rhetoric. There's a good chance that they fuck it up too. And they can't. Like, they can't. The more ground that we cede, I mean, if Canada lives through the next 10 years of Liberal rule again, there's no coming back from that. And that's not even my words. I'm not being hyperbolic. That's the Parliamentary Budget Office. They said that themselves. That this is untenable. We need to turn things around. Okay, and if we don't, we're fucked. Right? Don't take it from me. Take it from the Parliamentary Budget Office. They're the ones that said that. I don't know what it takes to convince people of that. It's not about, like, yes, it is about left or right because the leftist ideology is what led us here. I get that, but this has to be a moment of national unity. My dollar and the socialist dollar is getting devalued all the same. My job opportunities and their job opportunities are the same. A white male liberal has the same job opportunities as a white male conservative. Right? You're both getting fucked over by the liberals because there's entire jobs in Canada where they're allowed to discriminate and openly just not hire white males. They can make it so that the position only hires for women or Indigenous people or African people or what have you for the sake of diversity. So yeah, I understand that the conservatives are putting in work to try to stem the tide, but they're not going far enough, and that's what pisses me off the most. They have a slam dunk. They have they have all the opportunities in front of them, and they're just completely fucking it up. Letting foreigners vote in their elections, meeting up with all these various diasporas, all these cultural enclaves, saying that we need direct flights to India. What the fuck are we on about? Direct flights to India? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you serious? Their truck drivers are literally killing Canadian families. Every single month, there's a new fucking story about some Indians stealing from the LCBO or Amazon or what have you to the tune of millions. These people are literally robbing our country, sending the funds back home, and you want to set up direct flights for them? Are you fucking kidding me? The Liberals literally ran on policies that allowed drugs to invade entire neighborhoods where they otherwise would have not been to that extent. And you're telling me about direct flights to India? There are people within the government that need to go to jail. We need to be deporting millions of people. We need a social upheaval that has never happened in Canada before. We need a cultural shift that has never happened in Canada before. Not to this extent, not in modern history. Nothing short of that, right? Nothing short of a Trump-like moment is going to change things for Canada. And even the Trump-like moment in America hasn't changed shit. Right? And we can get into that on another episode, but like what has Trump done? They've stopped the deportations essentially, right? Like yeah, they have ICE, they're doing their raids and all that, but like they haven't reported ICE hasn't reported their numbers, or at least the Border Services Agency. They hasn't reported their deportation numbers in months. In months. And now with the midterms coming up, they're completely softening their approach because, you know, they don't want to look unpopular in the media. So they're scalping heads where they can, and they're, you know, making Don Lemon out to be this giant villain. It's like, yeah, look, Don Lemon is a symptom of the problem, but he's not the problem. The problem is the 30 million illegals that came in under Biden. That's the fucking problem. And we need to be deported. Even if we're not deporting them 1 million a year, we're not going hard enough. Because then that means it'll take 30 years for us to get them the fuck out. And Canada's what? We lowered immigration by tens of thousands of people? Not even 100,000, I'm pretty sure, in this last year. Oh, great. 5 million visas expiring this year. Not a single mention. Or maybe Polyev did mention it, but like, what are they going to do about it? Our Border Services Agency, like I covered in the last episode, had 259 cases of misconduct, where these agents are acting preferably to certain people that are going through the immigration process. What are we going to do about that? No, it's nothing short of insanity to believe in the Conservative Party, because you're going to fall for it. Just like people fell for Trump the second time around, and I'll admit, I fell for it too. I thought that he was actually going to fucking do something. Dragging his feet on Epstein, kicking Musk out of Doge, all this Palantir, JD Vance shit, all these ties to Israel, meetings with Netanyahu. Right? I was really hoping for it, but he disappointed. And Pierre Poilievre is going to do the exact same thing too, and you're a fucking idiot if you believe him. I'm sorry, but I understand that it sounds harsh, but you're only believing in him at your own peril. He is not going to conserve Canada and the culture. He's not. No, because we need somebody with you know the talking points of Trump to do exactly that here regarding immigration. Absolutely. We have entire swaths of the population that are living off the government tit. We have entire swaths of the population that are fucking firebombing and extorting businesses. Really? One single cultural group causing all this. The unemployment rate, all this thievery, the banditry, like actual bandits going into stores and stealing $1 million worth of liquor and merchandise and Amazon products and all this. Really? And we're allowing them to exist in our country? They're sexually assaulting women and children, and we're allowing them to exist in this country? Are you fucking kidding me? Deport them. Deport every single fucking one of them. And when I say that, right, let me be clear. Let me be clear. Let me be clear. That was a bad Obama impression, but let me be clear. Okay, here's what I mean when I say that, because I'm sure this will get clipped out of context and all that. Look, what I mean when I say deport them all, I mean anybody that's not a citizen. If you're a permanent resident, your immigration status, if you don't come from a Commonwealth country, should be put into question. And even if you do come from a Commonwealth country, right? You know what? They should be put under question too, because you could be coming from the Commonwealth, but you have ties to, your parents are from India or China or what have you. Anybody that's not a citizen, right, needs to have their citizenship status and permanent residency status put into question. Anybody that has their visas expiring needs to be deported tomorrow. Tomorrow. If you commit a crime and you don't have citizenship, out of the fucking country. You're out of here. Steal a car, rob a business, kill somebody. Shit, fucking assault to an extent, right? If it's like actual targeted assault, hate crime, what have you. Yeah, get them the fuck out of here. Harassing women, harassing children, being a predator, get them the fuck out of here. That's what I mean, deport them all. And the conservatives, they're not going to do it. They're not going to have what it takes. They're really not going to have what it takes. Shit, half the fucking people protesting for fucking Palestine need to be deported. If only so many of them weren't actual Canadians that have been here for generations. Shit, some of those people could go too, because they clearly fucking hate Canada too. And some people were even barred. They were barred from the convention because they had opposing views, and not just the remigration crowd, but they also had this guy, Billboard Chris, who speaks out against trans issues, who wasn't allowed. They had somebody else read a statement.
Okay. This is a message from Billboard Chris Elson, one of the foremost defenders of children against this ideology. And he wrote, he's here today, "I'm here to speak for children being irreversibly harmed by health professionals practicing what is falsely referred to as gender-affirming care. It is not caring to stop the development of children with puberty blockers. These are repurposed chemical castration and cancer drugs. It's not caring to alter their development with opposite-sex hormones. It is one of the great deceptions of our time to teach children that they might have been born in the wrong bodies."
He's not even letting him speak. He's just interrupting him. Like, are you serious? Are you taking the liberal side? Is the party line for the Conservative Party that you're for this? That you're for transing the kids? For having these operations? Really? You can't even have this opinion spoken at the Conservative... Like, if you can't have this spoken at the Conservative Party conference, where can you talk about this openly in Canadian political life? It's not going to be on the news. Of course it's not going to be on the news. Our news is beholden to the state. They receive hundreds of millions of dollars worth of tax credits and write-offs. We pay their checks in Canada. It's not just the state-funded media CBC. Every outlet, every single one of them, even the conservative ones, they get funding from the government. All the major outlets. You think they're going to bite the hand that feeds them and have fucking Billboard Chris on? Of course they're not. Why would they do that? Why would they risk that? They'll stand in opposition to policies, but in terms of anyone that's getting airtime, Billboard Chris is not going to be on CBC anytime soon. And of all the places for him to openly speak, this is the place. And the guy's telling him, we got to move on. Sorry, we got to move on to the next speaker. Really? This is the Conservative Party's, level of attention to this issue? Really? This is what they think? There have been cases where kids have been ripped from families because the mother or the other parent decided that the kid needed to be transed. There are multiple cases like this in Canada where the parents are put essentially on a gag order where they can't talk to the media and they have to talk under anonymity, and they have their children ripped away from them. They can't have visitation with them because they disagreed with their transition. You think that's okay? Do we all in Canada just think that's fine? That this stuff is getting pushed in schools and kids are forced to contemplate this? That they have access to books talking about masturbation and what it means to be trans and non-binary and two-spirited? This is fine. We're just okay with this, really, as the Conservative Party of Canada? Because that's a signal that you're sending by not letting him speak. Insanity. Insanity. And I'll do a whole detailed breakdown of the convention in a following episode. And honestly, I might not even have time today to go over the what was the other story that I wanted to cover? Apologies. I wanted to cover the Alberta secession. That's honestly, it's gonna have to wait for another episode because this is this took up more time than I expected. But it's just if you've gotten anything from this show thus far, yes, it is unfortunate. Not unfortunate isn't the word. In a sense, it's enraging that the Conservative Party is not going as hard as it needs to, and that they are absolutely playing the role of cuck. It is nothing short of disappointing, to say the least. But at the end of the day, it's always been like this. There's not a single party or a single movement that will fix all these problems in Canada, right? Whether it's the poverty, the access to food, the access to education, the job environment, the business development, a single political party will never be able to fix that, because that's not how any of this works. We are talking about a tidal wave of change that needs to be anchored in politics, but it needs to spread out everywhere. The mentality of Canadians has to shift. We're talking about a massive cultural undertaking here, right? It's not an opening of the Overton window. It's an absolute destruction of it, right? Things that are considered impolite. Apologies, my voice is kind of losing it. Things that are considered impolite, un-Canadian, right? Ideas that will have the label of racism and sexist and bigot thrown at you for, all those things, a good chunk of those things, almost all of those things, right, needs to be adopted. The sooner the better. Because if we don't get some new ideas in the public consciousness in Canada, we are fucked. We are fucked. America's going to eat our lunch. China is going to eat our lunch. India is going to eat our lunch. All these other nations are going to eat our lunch, and it's going to be to our detriment, and it's only going to benefit the elite class and the politicians who work for the government because they can rely on us for a wage. Those are the only people that are going to benefit. And don't take it from me. Don't take it from me. The highest growing sector for jobs in the entire national economy for Canada is the public sector. And the reason that is because all these different social programs that Trudeau pushed for and the expansion of government, right? Somebody's got to shuffle the papers. Somebody's got to scan the documents. Somebody's actually got to, make the phone calls, administer all these services. It's the government. They have the government availability of jobs has outpaced the private sector jobs from businesses. That's a fucking problem. That's a problem. That is a warning sign, right? If people might not agree with me on many things, right, culturally or what have you, or politically, fine. That one fact alone, the fact that Canada's fastest growing sector for jobs is government positions, that should concern everybody. Because guess what? Government positions, okay, that's a fixed salary. Unless somebody decides to announce they're doing budget cuts or firing entire departments, that job is not going away for years. 4 years. That is a guaranteed paycheck because the taxpayer is forced with either financial, right, or jail penalties if they don't pay their taxes. Right? Canada's version of the IRS, okay, they will take your money. They will seize your wages if they have to. They will do everything legally possible to ensure that you pay your taxes. And they will enforce that with prison time if they have to. Okay? That's how they make their money. They forcibly take it from us every single year, and this is the social contract that we all sign up for. That's the guaranteed wage. A business, you got to take risks. You know, you got to hire the right people. You got to get the right contractors. You got to make the right investments. There's a risk because you're in the market. You're competing. Who is the government competing with? Themselves? They have no risk. They can push for entire social policies that just, oh, whoopsie daisies, it didn't pan out. Right? Like the Safe Supply program in BC that they tried to push, where government-funded opiates just flooded the market. They flooded the drug market, so all those addicts that now got hooked on it, because they didn't hit the same that fent does, because the Canadian drugs are obviously, like the government-made drugs, they have to be weaker. They can't be as strong or stronger than fent. It's got to wean these people off of it. What they would do is they would show up to these centers, okay, and then they would collect their drugs, literally walk out, and outside of the door would be a dealer waiting for them where they would exchange those pills for fent, and then the dealer just turns around and flips it for cash. And that's not a conspiracy theory. No. This was in the news. At the peak of this, I think it was like 2-3 years ago or so, there was a documentary that came out that actually explored this, that talked to police officers, that talked to all these people in the programs, that actually took walkarounds in these safety injection sites. And fine, even if you don't take that documentary as the truth, what about all the arrest reports? What about all the cases where the RCMP and the provincial police, they were arresting people? And oh, wow, what a strange coincidence. All these people have these safe supply drugs? All these dealers have safe supply drugs in their supply? In their stashes? Whoa, that's weird. I wonder what they're doing with those. I wonder how they got those. Hundreds of thousands of pills. That's crazy. What a coincidence. Yeah, because they're fucking taking that shit from the people on the street that are using, and they give them fent instead. I mean, what more needs to be said? Like, really, what more needs to be said? And all those people administering that program, all those people that were handing out those drugs, they had jobs for all those years up until, oh, whoopsie daisies, it didn't work. Sorry. You know, hundreds or whatever people got fired because of that. Even if they did, all the people in the higher ups, right, that are on Parliament Hill, that are in Ottawa, that are working on pushing these programs, they're still there. Like, I think like a quarter of Carney's cabinet is made of Trudeau's cabinet. All these people, they keep their jobs. If you took any action that the government takes with our money in the private market, you would be crushed. You would be crushed. Are you fucking kidding me? If you did any of that as a private citizen, you would get crushed. You would get jail time. But because, right, they're the government, they have the backing of the government, of the justice system, of the courts, they defend themselves. They don't give a shit. Dude, if a business all of a sudden decided to sick cops or like some private paramilitary force on a protest, are you fucking kidding me? They would be put down. But no, when the government does it to the truckers, what happens? Investigations, all these years of lawyers and negotiations and all this deal making, and nobody goes to prison. Not a single person. Yeah, that's because that's how the government works. They look out for one another. That system needs to perpetuate and exist. That's what they do. If you don't believe me, look at how long some of the years that these city councilors in Toronto have been sitting on the council for decades. Decades. No matter how many fuck ups they've made, no matter how many lies they've told, no matter how many people they've absolutely screwed over, or how many lives they've ruined as a tertiary or as a secondary or tertiary consequence of their policies, they're still in there for decades. The government does not understand the concept of risk. They don't care if they waste your money. They don't give a shit. So with all due respect, sorry if I don't believe the conservatives. Sorry if I don't believe in their mission to change things. Until there are actual consequences for what these people are doing to our country, both for the left and the right and everyone in between, until they actually learn not to fuck with the populace, until they learn what it means to stand up for us, none of this means anything. They're slowly expanding the Overton window when, once again, I said it needs to be smashed. It needs to be smashed. Because here's the thing, right? Here's why. Here's why all this needs to happen. And not just for all the reasons that I mentioned. The reason that this is of the utmost importance of Canada, right? If you're listening, all right? This is the critical part. Let me just take a swig. The reason why conserving the ideals that founded your nation are important is because you don't want to wind up like England or Australia, where people get arrested for difference of opinion, where people get arrested for having nationalist sentiment, where people are getting attacked in the street for having nationalist sentiment. Okay? This happened just in Australia. Not even like 2 weeks ago. Fucking stupid browser. Right? This happened not even like 2 weeks ago. They had a day known as Australia Day, same as the way Canada Day works, where people go out and they celebrate, all these great things about the Australian history, the great things that's built the nation. A good chunk of people don't call it Australia Day. They call it Invasion Day. Do you realize how pervasive that is in their culture? It's to the point where they have entire marches against nationalism. Dude, could you imagine being in a country that's giving you literally everything? Everything, every opportunity, everything built on the backs of the people that bled, sweat, and died so you could live. And your ungrateful, childish, immature, repugnant self thinks that you're somehow in the right to point a finger at them and how they interacted with the world? Are you fucking kidding me? Could you be more out of touch? Insane. Could you imagine burning your own country's flag? Unironically doing that? Dude, root for the fucking home team. You don't live in Tehran. You don't live in China. This isn't an act of defiance. You're not living under an authoritarian state. It's not Soviet Russia. Right? Those actions would actually have some merit in countries like that. This isn't Nazi Germany. You're living in Australia, a westernized liberal nation. One of the most beautiful countries I have ever had the pleasure of seeing. My God. They're like fucking Canadians, except it's sunny all the time. It's amazing. I had aspirations to live in Australia for a time, and I wish I could have. I really wish I could have, but Jesus fucking Christ, that place is more cucked than Canada is. It's insane how much they hate themselves. It's nothing short of lunacy. Like, yes, no shit, they have a complicated history, to say the least, with their indigenous peoples. Yeah, every colonial nation did. Every single one of them. Australia is not unique. Well, you think you're better than them? You would have done better in those times under those circumstances? Who gives you the right to stand up and point your finger at history like that? Like, are you serious? The absolute audacity and disrespect that these people have towards the nation that has given them everything. It's fucking disgusting. And not just, you know what, disgusting isn't even the right word for it. I understand, right, having some kind of a visceral shock to hearing, oh, wow, we actually did those things to those people. But your immediate reaction shouldn't be, okay, let's dismantle this nation. Let's give it back to the indigenous because I shouldn't own the property that I do. I shouldn't live on the land that I do. What kind of a suicidal instinct is that? You know, it's one thing to say, okay, we need to work with the indigenous. We need to, I don't know, help them integrate into society. Let's build them more infrastructure. Let's do this. Let's do that. Right? It's like some kind, like extending an olive branch. I understand that. Okay, fine. You know, if you actually believe in the word reconciliation, if you want to actually, I don't know, somehow have a national conversation about this, you know, this difficult, not difficult, but this tumultuous time where people were working out, you know, where do we stand? Where do these people stand in relation to us? How do we coexist? How do we belong? You know, they're here. What are we going to do about it? That's one thing. That's one thing, having a healthy dialogue. All this, land back now? Are you fucking kidding me? You're going to give it back to them? For what? For the sins of your fathers? The son is not responsible for the sin of their father. That's a simple edict any child can understand. And yet these people, they're 20, 30, 40, 50-year-olds, all these different races, all these different nationalities, they believe in this? Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, let's give land back to the indigenous. You know the Australian indigenous have such a problem with drinking gasoline that they had to have a public campaign to tell them to stop drinking it? They made a song about it. This isn't even a racial stereotype. Well, okay, it very well could be. But like, I'm not even joking, is what I mean to say. This isn't a joke, okay? Australia, indigenous, drinking gasoline. They literally made a song about it. Don't sniff petrol from a can. And I bet I'm not going to get copyright for this, so honestly, I'll just play it. Oh, come on, really? Oh, there we go.
Brothers, sisters, my friend, could we stand together? Look at us, we can live forever. Show me sister, show me brother, and we stand strong for one another. Come on, come on, come on, come on, yeah! Come on, come on. We put the leaders over the islands. You don't sniff petrol from a can. You put the petrol in the United States. Don't be rama-rama, it's messing with your brain. You say you're damn it, do you understand? You don't sniff petrol from a can. You put the petrol in the corridors. Don't be rama-rama, sniffing up your nose. Don't be rama, 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 don't be rama. Love your friends, protect your friends.
Okay, that's all I can handle. Hope you like that dance number. Yeah, so look, with all due fucking respect, if you have to have a social campaign, a national campaign, or at least somebody has to put out a song for this, like, is that maybe an indicator that the indigenous, they're kind of, they're not at your pace of societal development, that you have to take certain graces with when you're dealing with them? If you have a problem with fucking sniffing petrol from a can, like it's a nationwide problem, and this song is a necessary thing to have, that's a fucking problem. That's a problem. And you want to hand the land back to these people because of some white guilt? Are you fucking out of your mind? This sniffing petrol from a can, this is just what I know from Canada. I bet if you ask enough people in the Outback, they'll tell you some shit. I bet you they'll tell you some shit. Jesus Christ, man. And that, like, really? Because of that white guilt? Because of that white guilt, this is what happens? People get attacked out in the street for having flags? Or, like, getting yelled at because they love Australia? Like, look at this. Sorry, this isn't the video that I wanted to pull up. This, I think the next one is, because I have like 15 of these. I've been saving these for a minute. I meant to cover the story earlier. Yeah, here's an incident.
Oh no, he's got a mask.
An incident where somebody had a flag taken away from them and then arrested.
Oh, jeez, he's not Palestinian. He's not Palestinian. Great footage, guys. Thank you very much. This is crazy. Human rights, my friend. Human rights. Human rights. Follow human rights charter, please. Yep. Follow the human rights charter. The guy can express his opinion. Sure. Come on, guys. Relax. Thanks, brother. Well done, buddy. Oh, they searched you.
Cool for having a fucking flag that guy was arrested. Cool. And if you think I'm taking it out of context, if you think that is just it's just one clip, who cares? Yeah, check this out. Oh wait, this is the same clip. Hold on. I believe it's this one. There's a man that got stabbed for having a flag. Let me see if I can. Oh, this is not it. Come on. Is this really not it? Yeah, they're lighting the flag on fire. I mean, look, this all illustrates the same point, but there's one specific video that I'm looking for. People getting assaulted.
Want to do something about this? Look at this as assault happening right in front of you. Don't be so impotent.
Yeah, does this look like a country that loves itself? Does this look like a country where a person just walking with their flag will not get hateful comments thrown their way? Assaults happening? These people feel so negatively about their country's history that this is the way that they're acting, that you need a police presence. The fact that there isn't national unity on this in Australia is nothing short of insane. What this signals is there is a good cohort, a good-sized cohort within Australia of the population that actively hates itself and hates its own nation. Right, and the reason that I'm bringing Australia up, because once again, just to tie it back to the greater point, this is where Canada is headed if we don't get our shit together. And I saw the rumblings of this 10 years ago, okay, in person. I was there on Canada Day 10 years ago in a city where we were walking the downtown core with me and my friend, and we got accosted by natives, by indigenous people, saying, "Oh, you stole our land. We actually own it. Yada, yada, yada." What the fuck? We saw people openly protesting. On Canada Day? Really? Are you fucking kidding me? Bro. Read a bit of history. Every people that is in a position to do so will conquer. That is the story of history. You will have your land stolen. There will be wars fought over this, or agreements will be made. In many cases with the indigenous, Canadians made deals. The settlers made deals. They didn't always just fucking annihilate them and genocide them. You know, I've even recently heard of stories, which honestly I need to look into, but I've heard of stories where during the residential school years, there were many families that were coming out and saying, please take our kids because it's dangerous in our community. We need you to raise them. We want them to have some sense of stability. And I'm not saying that to be like, oh, therefore the residential schools, because I know this will get clipped out of context. I'm not saying that to say, oh, therefore the residential schools are all great and nothing went wrong. Of course not. I've said this many times on this show. People died. They were forced to abandon their language, right? A lot of horrible things happened. I'm not ignoring that. Obviously, anybody that was in Canadian school understands that. Anybody that learned just the most basic thing on it understands that. No shit. I'm not ignoring that. Of course all that bad shit happened. Of course. But at the same time, it's not telling the full story. Or also the story of the fact that, hey, maybe the natives actually weren't fucking peace-loving and tree-hugging hippies. Maybe they actually fought each other too. Maybe that's a part of their history, how they conquered each other. Are we just gonna assume that they were all lovey-dovey and then the nasty Europeans came and they took everything over? Really? That's what we're going with? That's a narrative? Because when you stick with that narrative, this is what you get. When you embrace that kind of narrative, you have an environment where people can't even walk down with the flag of their nation down a street on the day when you're celebrating the birth of your nation. You're celebrating Confederation. You're celebrating the culture, the ties that bind us. Of all the days to celebrate national unity, you're having these fucking fights break out? Really? You want to protest, you want to, wave your flag, whatever the fuck, fine. It's your right. You live in a Western liberal democracy, by all means. But this shouldn't be such a widely accepted sentiment where this is just okay. There was a previous video that I pulled up here that will honestly, this explains everything. This fucking asshole here, first of all, even regardless of his rhetoric, right? Even if we just ignore that, the fact that a man is talking to women this way, fucking despicable. Beyond despicable. Who raised this guy? Why would you talk to random women like this? Why would you disrespect a woman like this? Like, for no reason. Just two ladies that are out in the park celebrating Australia Day that had, like, flags. This is the way that he talks to them? Like, listen to this.
Okay, why do you fucking kill yourself, mate?
Got anything else you want to say?
Why don't you... Yeah. I hope the white genocide does happen, because you guys are cunts. Yeah. That's all. Fuck your flag. Fuck this genocidal country. 2025, 2024, the highest years for Aboriginal deaths in custody, and you just stand there like a fucking nobody, waving around your bullshit flag.
That's why I'm wearing my poppies.
The Gallipoli, cool. That's cool. Fucking
people
cool,
like
isn't it?
you.
We have an army that also fucking takes advantage of Indigenous people. You know, our army fucking takes advantage of Aboriginal.
This leftist cuck, this shell of a man, just, my God, like, really, dude? You're accosting these two grannies for what? Like, like this lady right here, really? Like, are you serious? This is the action that you're taking? You really think that's a smart thing to say? This is how you behave around women? Like, you literally, you can't control yourself. You have to go over and fucking say something? Unbelievable. This guy's literally arguing for the death of his nation. Fuck you, white genocidal cunts. Like, what? I'm sorry, did the indigenous build Australia? Are they the ones that built the roads? Sorry, hold on. Are they the ones that built all the infrastructure? Are they the ones that built your system of governance? The indigenous Australians did that? Really? It was all fine until the white man came? It was a land of peace? Are you serious? Are you fucking kidding me? What are you talking about? So this is why, okay? This is why I've been harping so hard on the conservatives. Because we could very well become England or Australia. We could very well turn to their side. We could very well turn into that kind of nation where people can't feel safe walking around with patriotic fervor, with a spirit of nationalism, with pride in what Canada is. The ideals that we were built upon, the things that make this country great, the men and women that built this nation, the kind of culture that built that nation. We can't enjoy that without being accosted? Is that really the world that we're headed to? Is that what we want to live in? Where white people have to apologize for something that happened 200 fucking years ago? Get over it. With all due respect, I'm tired of hearing this shit. I'm tired of hearing all this fucking racism. Oh, racist this, colonialist that. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Seriously. Shut the fuck up. What, the indigenous, we're just going to give the land back and they're going to what? They're going to build a greater Canada? That's what we're going to do here? Are you fucking kidding me? The Australians have actual campaigns telling them to not sniff petrol, and this guy wants to give the land back to them? Justice now? Are you, like, what? Are you serious? What are you sniffing? What are you huffing? My God, this is absolute social dementia. These people have no understanding of history, no understanding of what it takes to build a nation. No understanding of the sacrifices that were made by the people that came before us to build the roads that we walk on every single day, to create the culture that has kept our nation united for so many years. And this is just one example in Australia. In Canada, we have our own leftists that believe all this, right? We have our own people. All these people that feel so sorry for the way that the indigenous live. Brother, we spent twice as much on the indigenous affairs last year than we did the military. I think they're getting enough money. Actually, I think we don't owe these people anything. I'm of the mind that we actually don't owe these people anything anymore. You want to integrate and you want to live in Canadian society? Go live in a town. Go live in a city with a road in it. Go live where you can go to school, where you can get a hospital, where you don't have to get airlifted. Go to a place where the alcoholism rate isn't skyrocketing. How's about you go into modern times? Okay? How's about that? How's about you adapt to modern life? Fucking Christ. I'm sorry. Cry me a fucking river. Okay? Cry me a fucking river. I have nothing to do with that. The Canadians that live here, the heritage Canadians that have been around for generations, they have nothing to do with that. They're not responsible for what happened 200 years ago. They are not. And I refuse to have this fucking racial guilt tied to anything related to whiteness, right, as they call it. To being white, that I have to feel sorry for these people. With all due respect, not just feel sorry for them, but feel sorry to the point where you want to give millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to them, hundreds of millions over years. Fuck no. The Crown's official position should be, we're not ceding land, we're not giving anything back to you, we're going to build the pipelines, we're going to go through your territories, we're going to build the pipelines, and guess what? You're also going to benefit from them. You'll benefit from the tax revenue. You'll benefit from the infrastructure that we build. From the deals that we can make. Why isn't that a national story? Why aren't we helping bring the indigenous into 2026? Why is that not a national story? That we're helping modernize these people. I mean, Fucking Christ. It was literally like not even a month ago. They're talking about boil advisories in some indigenous reserves. How is that possible that you have boil advisories because your water is so fucking contaminated and we're spending twice as much money on you than we are the military? Where's that fucking money going? Where's that fucking money going? Who is spending it? Are the chiefs corrupt? Are the bands corrupt? Maybe we should investigate that. Nope, we gotta hate Canada. We gotta hate Canada because at some point 200 years ago, they either traded or lost their land in conflict, and so therefore we have to give them hundreds of millions of dollars now. How's about fuck no? How's about I love Canada? How's about I love the culture that built this nation, and I want it to excel, and I want it to propel, and I want us to see the stars. I want us to become a spacefaring civilization. And actually, I think colonization was a good thing. How about that? Who's going to conserve that idea? The Conservative Party of Canada? Really? Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it. And yet, that's what made this nation great. That's what built this nation. And here we are just giving it away. We're ceding territory to people that want to do away with this way of life. They want to destroy anything tied to colonialism. Really? This is who we're ceding the ground to, the Liberal Party of Canada? No, it's shameful. It's not. It's beyond shameful. It's disappointing. It's a lot of things. It's just. It's sad to see that this is the official opposition. That this is the position that they want to hold. They want to let foreigners vote for their leaders. They want to push for all these diaspora politics. Pierre Poilievre going to all these different communities saying we need a direct flight to India. They are not going to save you. The Conservative Party of Canada is not going to save you. Right? And I understand that much of this episode has been fairly blackpilling and we've been going on for a while, so I'll end with this, okay? As I said previously, no single politician, no single political movement, no single action, no single policy is going to get us closer to the goalpost of living in a country that is living up to its founding of peace, order, and good government, of a majority European nation. Right? No single thing is going to move us closer to that goalpost. It's going to take a major cultural shift, and this is something that will take years to build. Years. And we have to put in the work now, because if we don't put it in now, we're going to be even more fucked in the future. And yes, part of it is having these discussions and these episodes and all that. That's great. But what we need to do, actually, right, legitimately, to push this culture, build organizations, right? Join these organizations. Evaluate whether they're even worth joining in the first place, because some of these things are going to be psyops. They're going to be infiltrated by feds, as they always are, okay? So you got to be careful about that. And you don't necessarily have to reveal your power level, right? You don't necessarily have to go out and say in public and make videos of yourself showing your face and your name and all that you have these beliefs, okay? Because having a more subtle approach can actually work to your benefit. If you don't have to dox yourself, then don't dox yourself. Don't use your real name, okay? Like I said many times before, you don't necessarily have to show up to these protests, because at the end of the day, they don't do shit. What actually does shit, what actually pushes the needle, is people infiltrating this government, both on the liberal and the conservative side and elsewhere, that have these ideals at heart, that we want to bring Canada back to what it used to be like. right? And not this fake and gay return to the 50s shit. No, I'm talking restricted immigration, developing Canada, right? Building actual projects here, expanding our economy, not having an overwhelming government, not having all these roadblocks and all these monopolies. No, 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 no. A free and prosperous nation, right? Infiltrating these organizations, going into government, going into office, holding these ideals close to your heart, but not necessarily being on a loudspeaker all the time. Okay? That kind of infiltration, that kind of movement, that's what we need to be doing. Full stop. Nothing short of that will achieve this mission. Nothing short of that will get us closer to our aims. We need to do that and go above and beyond. Because this left-right dichotomy, liberal, conservative, Mark Carney, Pierre, like it's just, this isn't going to get us anywhere. We need to build our influence. We need to amass resources. We need to make allies. We need to create coalitions. That's what what needs to happen. We have to get more and more people on our side. We have to make a more convincing argument that this is the way forward for Canada. It's the only way for Canada. And we have to do it despite the fact that people will treat us and call us racists, sexist, homophobes, what have you. You saw exactly what they did to people during COVID. If you were in Canada, you saw exactly what they did and how they labeled those people. We have to persevere despite that. You're going to call me a racist? Okay, I don't give a shit. I frankly don't care. That doesn't scare me. I don't care. Because I love this country. I'm eternally grateful for everything that it's given to me, every opportunity that I've been afforded here. The fact that for a time I got to live in a high trust society. Yeah, that was pretty fucking great. And I want nothing but that. Nothing more than that. Just that bare standard of living. Right? Nope. Saying I want nothing more of that, that's inaccurate, but that's the bare minimum. Right? Let me rephrase that. That's the bare minimum that I want for me, my friends, my family, my neighbors, my community, my city, the future generations. I want them to enjoy that. I don't want kids growing up thinking that buying a house is a meme. I don't want kids growing up seeing junkies passed out on the street on their way to Tim Hortons. I don't want kids coming back from university for their summer off not being able to find a job because fucking Singh Preet and Jagmeet are working the counter at Tim's. Or they're at the mall. Or wherever the fuck. I don't want any of that. And I think a lot of Canadians would sympathize with that message. And it's a damn fucking shame. Borderline betrayal that the Conservative Party is not advocating towards those interests as hard as they need to. And so with that, we'll end off today because we've been going for a while. And oh boy, I look at the time. Jesus Christ. It is extremely late. Let me just double check one thing here and we'll do our sign off. As always, I thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you that has made it thus far. I understand that we haven't covered everything that I wanted to in the show, but that's okay. We will cover the secession in a future episode because that is something that I want to talk about. The fact that Alberta wants a split from the nation, which is certainly something that is worth talking about. But in any case, that will happen at a future date. Let me just double check one last thing here. Okay. I thank each and every one of you for joining me tonight. As always, you can go to bio.link/whitepill. That will be in the description of every episode. If you have a donation you'd like to make to have a message read aloud in chat, you can do it on PayPal. And as I said before, the second link there that I posted, it does have the crypto donation links. So if you'd like to send some crypto my way to help support the show, don't feel obligated, but you can find it all here, all the addresses for all the blockchains. And yeah, like I said, without further ado, I'll see you guys this coming Monday. I'll probably cover the secession thing. Greenland is still something that I'd like to cover in the future, so we'll see about that. But I hope you all have a fantastic end to your week. I hope you have a relaxing weekend to look forward to. And I hope you all have a great night. Because all things considered, as I've said before, of all the places to live in the world, Canada's pretty damn good. Even with all our problems, even with all the corruption, even with all the bullshit. It's good to take these moments to remind yourself why you should be grateful to live in a Western liberal democracy. But at the same time, don't forget, that's even more reason why we shouldn't be fucking this opportunity up. We've been given a layup, given all the opportunities to succeed, and we're just fucking each other over. For one reason or another. But we're going to turn the ship around. And yeah, we'll see you guys this coming Monday. Have a good night.